Feelings will be caught and crushed tonight. You have been warned. Recently in the news, there was an Instagram model, I guess whatever, Fenty brand ambassador, whatever in the world that means, named Kayla Nicole. For the longest time, she's been booed up with a professional football player, Travis Kelce. And they broke up once, I think, got back together, broke up again here more recently. Looks like it may be for good this time. Who knows? I doubt it, but who knows? However, as you can see here, she felt pretty secure, and he certainly did. And the reason that was circulated and rumored was because they were saying that it was because he wasn't spending money on her. There was a rumor that he had spent like $100 in 5 years. It was unaccredited, it wasn't really attributed to anybody. And in the last few days, she's actually pushed back against that on Twitter. She's actually said that, I don't know where y'all get that information from. So I want you to understand that's the backdrop against which I'm doing tonight's program. Because what I'm telling you is, regardless of where you fall on that issue, it doesn't really matter. And we're going to go into details about that as well. But it gives me an opportunity to discuss something I want to talk about here for a while. The number one reason that women die broke. The number one reason that women die poor. And we're not going to go over opinion or conjecture. We're going to go over absolute fact here with numbers and evidence. And we're also going to put it in context of Miss Nicole here. So what I want to do here first is we're going to go down a list of things here. You know I love my list for it, so you can keep up with it. So let's go ahead and get started. Reason number one seems to be low-hanging fruit, that women spend money emotionally. This is a terrible habit to have if you're in charge of finances. It is one thing if you are a wife and you have a man to regulate the finances, because today we've got just a scourge of deceptive, deliberately deceitful online articles and media pieces intended to suck up to and pander to women and not tell the truth. When they talk about women controlling the finances in the home, what they really mean is that the women have had the authority delegated, but that doesn't mean that the women are, quote, in charge. If you have a man there to regulate it, that's the way that works. It's not as if she's just doing whatever she wants to and the guy's just sitting back, yes, dear. It doesn't work that way. But in order to placate, pander, suck up to a female audience, they say things that they know are deliberately false. But in reality, when you take a look at females on their own, you get a radically different picture. Money is spent emotionally, not strategically. Money is spent on what they want, not on what they need. And more than that, even when it's spent on things they need, it's still not spent strategically. That's the problem. Give you a case in point here. When you take a look at how women spend their money, when you take a look at how women do things, I'll give you one thing here in particular. Talking about spending money emotionally. Now, as you know, all last week, I was talking about the fact that when you take a look at mortgages, women have no idea what they're actually paying for in a mortgage. They have absolutely no idea what they're paying for. None. When you actually take out their monthly payments, they've never actually sat down and multiplied that monthly payment times the 30 years, the 360 months. But in reality, they spend very emotionally. Most women cannot afford a home, certainly cannot afford one by themselves. And yet, if they've grown up with mommy issues, if they're trying to rebel against their father, either because he was in the home or worse, because he wasn't in the home, they're now empowered to make emotional decisions that can and will cripple them for the rest of their days. What they're not empowered to do is be able to get out of it. Now, what I want to do is I want to show you a chart here. This comes from Experian, the credit reporting agency. And there are a lot of devils in the details here. There are devils in the details. Now, when you take a look at this, when it comes to the average debt by gender in America, it's deceptive what you're seeing. And this goes back to my point number 6 here about spending money emotionally. Because when you take a look at the results of spending, it's not very flattering. I want to start from the top here. For credit card balances, you see 6,232 for women, 6,357 for men. Student loan balances. Now, that one in particular, once again, very deceptive here. The point that they're trying to make is, well, when you take a look at how women spend and debt, it's really in line with men, is the whole point that Experian was that you would come away with after looking at this data. That, well, when you take a look at it, there's not really a great big huge chasm between men and women's debt ratios, as it were. So they're comparable. It's not like the women are wildly spending out of line with men, but that's very deceptive, and it's done so deliberately. But why is it deceptive? Because first of all here, when it comes to credit card balances, this is one in particular that I found to be very bad, because when you take a look at that, you see it says credit card balances for women and men. What it doesn't mention is that this is per account. So in reality, women actually have more credit card accounts than men, and they carry balances on more credit card accounts than men. So since they have more credit cards, that number you're seeing there is actually deceptive. And deliberately so. It's meant to spare feelings as opposed to give a clear picture of what the situation is. Student loan balances, of course, well, you're leaving out the fact that 2/3 of student loan debt is held by women. You're leaving that out altogether there. Never mind the fact that 2/3 of it is held by women. You're leaving that out. But that's an important thing to understand. And when it talks about auto loan balances and personal loan balances, it gets even worse from there. Home equity lines of credit. Now, this one in particular, I've been dealing with for the last week here. And one of the things they don't mention here is for home equity lines of credit, the reasons that women and men typically go get those things is different. Men may go get it for more money. Women typically go get it to make home repairs. If you are a single woman by yourself, they typically go to get it to get home repairs. And of course, for mortgage balances, women typically pay about 2% more for a mortgage. And when they sell the house, they sell for about 2% less than men do. So they pay 2% more than men do and typically sell for 2% less than men do. So when you take a look at the total debt balances here, this would seem to have women at a far closer margin than they actually are. And it's not true. This is meant to be interpreted in a way that deceives you because they don't want to say the brutally honest truth, which is that, by the way, yes, it's always correct here. Women spend money emotionally. How do you get somebody to tell you that you cannot afford this house, no matter how impulsive, no matter how immature, no matter how many daddy issues you have, you can't actually afford this house. Someone will sell it to you, but you can't actually afford it. Even if you quote unquote can make the monthly payments, this is sucking up so much of your lifetime earnings that you realize you actually cannot afford this. So will you think strategically or emotionally? Well, when you take a look at women's lifetime earnings, when you take a look at their retirement accounts, when you take a look at who's invested and who isn't, it doesn't take very long to figure out how it goes down. Have I offended you enough yet? Let me keep going. Next. Oh boy, women walk away from money emotionally. In case you all didn't know here, by the way, in case you didn't know, right now you've got an epidemic of women leaving the workforce. You've got an epidemic of women walking away from their jobs. And I don't mean in small numbers either. They've got an epidemic of that going on. And the reason why they're doing it, they might be okay with it, but it's not actually in their best interests. One of the things that they will tell you here, and they'll always try to blame it on somebody else, by the way. They'll always try to blame it on somebody else, but the typical reason here is because they're not ready for it. It seems like a good idea, but they're not ready for it. I want to bring you to an article here from Al Jazeera. They did a great article about this. About women are burned out and want to quit their jobs. Now, women and men both inhabit the same workplace. But what they're saying is that women are burned out and want to quit their jobs. I want to read some of the article here for you. Men and women both in the same workplace. Women have far cushier jobs than men. Women don't do manual labor the way that men do. Women work desk jobs. Women work incredibly low physical effort jobs. Women have the easiest jobs on the planet, and yet they're telling you they're burned out. Men are the ones doing all the heavy lifting. Men are the ones working all the long hours. But the women are telling you that even with their very minimal, marginal duties in the workplace, they're burned out. The article says, by Ella Sarin, for female employees, the Great Resignation may only be getting started. This is of April 2022, so this was just last month. Just last month. She's saying the Great Resignation for women may only be getting started. More than half of the 5,000 women surveyed by the consulting firm Deloitte Global said that they intended to quit their jobs within the next 2 years. More than half the 5,000 women they surveyed. Burnout was the top driver for those currently looking for new employment, as most said they felt stressed today. They felt more stressed today than they did a year ago in the survey released Tuesday. Rates were worse for women who belonged to ethnic minority groups, as well as those in middle management and part-time roles. And women aged 18 to 25. It doesn't get any easier. It literally doesn't get any easier, and yet they're telling you, oh, we're burned out. You're not hearing the men saying that. The women are like, yeah, we fought for this, we demanded this, we told everybody strong and independent, and I'm burned out. And guess who they're going to expect to come and pick up the slack? Guess who they're going to expect to come and do the lifting when they sit down? By the way, it goes on to say, overall, 1 in 3 women said they had taken time off from work due to their mental health, and almost half rated their mental health as poor to very poor. Now, we all know what that means. They had taken time off work for mental health. In other words, they called in sick. What they're telling you is that when women don't want to go to work because they're, quote, stressed, they'll call in sick. Oh, I'm taking a mental health day. Now, they won't tell the employer it's a mental health day because there's no such exception for that. Well, I'm calling in sick today. Ain't a damn thing wrong with her except this job she demanded. She's like George Jetson. Women only use like one finger at the job, but they'll have you believing that they built half of the damn school. They built half the hospital with their bare hands. They're sitting there on their phones. You go to any employer today, the women are sitting there on their iPhones the whole damn day. The whole day. And yet, I'm burned out. I'm tired. I'm stressed. I need a mental health day. Now, they go on to say, while many employers have tried to make work more flexible, Female employees surveyed by Deloitte say they feel excluded even in hybrid settings. What they're talking about is like telecommuting and whatnot. So no matter how easy you try to make it, they're still claiming that there's a problem. When are you going to admit the truth? You don't want to work. When are we going to just admit the reality of it? You don't want to work. You don't want no part of it. You want the veto power to be a disciplinary problem, but you don't actually want to get out here and throw no hands and make it become the hunters and gatherers. You're not trying to do that. You jump out here when it's being immature, but you don't actually want to carry your own weight. Now that we reach this parity where the women are being required to carry the same weight as men, they're breaking under the load and ain't carrying nothing. There's the real problem. They're breaking under the load and not carrying anything. They're stressed out just showing up. It goes on to say just 10% of those surveyed across 10 countries said they plan to stay with their current employer for more than 5 years. And women in non-managerial and middle management positions were more likely to say they were looking to move roles within 2 years. Well, it's not very encouraging when you think about that. Not very encouraging at all. Let's go see what Forbes has to say. Why women quit. Their article here says one of the biggest conversations in the business world, this article is from 2019, but it's still very true today, because I want you to understand about women going around saying, well, screw it, I want to just jump up and go quit my job. I want you to understand something here. There's a reality. There's a reality here. I'm going to skip down to the second paragraph. It says women leave their positions at a far higher rate than men. This was in 2019, by the way. This was in August of 2019, before the pandemic, right before the pandemic. So this is as accurate as it gets. Women leave their positions at a far higher rate than men, and more often than not are then replaced by men. On average, we're looking at attrition rates of 31% versus 24%, and it only goes higher as you move up the corporate ladder. By the time you actually reach the C-suite, women leave their jobs at over 3 times the rate of their male colleagues, 24% versus 7%, according to the Network for Executive Women. So let's be honest and ask the real question. Why are women quitting in such disproportionate numbers? Now, here's what they say in the article. And this is the reason why, going to another point I'm going to make here in a moment, about why it is that women just cannot make it. They just can't. They just can't. This article is claiming to help you and just can't. They say, why are women quitting in disproportionate numbers? The first thing they say, the expectations both in and outside of the workplace for women are different. And as a result, women are overwhelmed and overworked. Let's start with the big one. Women have too much to do. We're looking first and foremost at working mothers here because it's such a massive block of the female workforce. Never mind the fact that women make themselves working mothers. They choose to become working mothers and then complain. So the idea that they cannot be pleased is not a victimless crime. You're the first victim of it. Of the United States' 44 million mothers, over 75% work full-time. That's a solid 33 million out of the 74.6 million strong working women. And women are the sole or primary breadwinner for 40% of households with children. That's single mothers, according to the U.S. Department of Labor. And those numbers are even more staggering when you consider what those statistics omit, that working mothers are still overwhelmingly saddled with managing the home and providing primary child care. And they're expected to manage this load. Single income families are the exception rather than the rule at only 7% of U.S. households, with the weakest support system in the entire Western world, no paid parental leave, no tax-supported child care, and a grotesque gender wage gap. No paid parental leave. So they're expecting their employers to subsidize their sexual habits. If I want to go have a kid by Pookie, Ray Ray, Mike, Lil Slug, and the rest of them there, I'm expecting the job to come swooping in and save me. But ultimately, parental care cannot be paid by the employers. That'll fall on the taxpayers. Well, who are those taxpayers that the women are looking for to carry that burden? Oh, wait a minute. The men who are not the fathers of your children. You've gone out and said, well, my body, my choice, but I don't want to carry the load. I don't want to carry the load of the consequences of my decisions. I'm expecting a man to come save me. Get the government in here. The men, take the men's taxes and tax them more to come save me from my choices and decisions. I'm strong and independent until the bill for my decisions shows up. And then all of a sudden, I'm not strong and independent anymore. These are self-inflicted wounds, but they expect everybody else to pitch in and help them. So notice they said no paid parental leave, no tax-supported child care. In other words, we need to tax men to pay for all these children that don't belong to them. Since the majority of men are not single fathers and almost half the dating age females are single mothers, the single mothers and their female enablers, unfortunately, in the rest of society, are saying, hey, let's tax all these single men who don't have children. Let's get them to pay for the children of Lil Slug, Mike, Skibo, Debo, Catfish, and Cornbread. Let's get them to pay for those children. If you're feeling what I'm talking about here tonight, fellas, if I'm telling the truth, give me a thumbs up emoji in the chat room and hit the like button for me. They're trying to keep our likes down. If you're feeling what I'm saying here, if you know I'm telling the truth, go ahead and give me a thumbs up emoji in the chat room and hit the likes button for me. I'm giving you the numbers and the details. So she just sits here and says something that is very, very patronizing. But the bottom line is what they're saying is we want to have as many children as we want to. When you have the kids, you're telling us we need to go to work, but we don't want to actually go. And if we do, we want to have the option to get up and leave. Oh yeah, and we expect the men to pay our way no matter what happens. And this is a wonderful fantasy you can have. The only problem is it's not actually applicable. It doesn't actually work. You'll try to get it to work, it falls apart. So it doesn't actually work. So women walk away from money for emotional reasons. Women will get up here and do that day in and day out. They will get up and leave a well-to-do husband. They will get up and leave a job. Women will get up and walk away from money all day, every day. For emotional reasons. The problem with thinking emotionally is that you can only see in the instant. You can only see in the moment. You're not actually looking down the road and calculating how hard this is going to hit you. You're not actually thinking in that way. You're not thinking about, by the way, what are the ramifications of this? You're just thinking about the moment. Women go postal is what happens. Women go postal. They go postal with their man. They go postal at their job. They're not thinking one whit about the next day. They go postal with their sex habits. They're not thinking about that. Whatever I want to do in this moment, that's all I'm thinking. They're just blinded by rage or lust or immaturity, but not thinking strategically. Next is ignoring opportunity. One of the biggest reasons that women are going to die poor is because they ignore opportunity. And that comes back to here. Because you see, if you're going to make a decision, you gotta stick with it. You gotta stick with it. If you have a man who's a producer, you gotta stick with it. What you're trying to do is get maximum benefits while not being invested at all. And that shouldn't be surprising because this is the way that women deal with life. They're like, why do I need to be invested? I'll just see if I can get the society to force the men to get invested and be the responsible ones. Now, I want to sit here and mess up the landscape, but why should I be responsible? Let the men be the responsible ones. Okay, let the men be the responsible ones, but then you need to defer to the men. You're going to have to defer to the men's judgment. Well, I don't want to do that either. I want all the benefits. I want none of the responsibilities, and I certainly don't want to have to earn it. And that's the reality. So women on a regular basis ignore opportunity. Do you all know how many women that you can get to agree to egregious terms, or you can run them off simply by not kissing their asses? Do you know how many women have lost opportunities to become business owners, to get a loan, to become executives, to become wives? Do you know how many have been run off from opportunities simply because they failed the crap test? Can you imagine how many of them have lost record deals, television deals? How many women have lost once-in-a-lifetime opportunities simply because they have been conditioned to ignore opportunities when they show up? And now I'll actually go back to another point here in just a moment. Listening to other failed females. Now, this one is going to be important. This one is going to be important here because women will listen to their mamas who have failed. They'll listen to their grandmothers, their aunties, their friends. Right now, they've got huge circles of other failed females that they can sit among, and they all sit there looking as silly as they can be, and that's what you got. That's what you got. There was an article here from Time. From Time, there was an article. Time.com, there's an article. And this one right here, boy, I'm telling you, it's the most disgusting thing. It really is the most disgusting thing. To sit there and watch it and read that, it was absolutely disgusting to see them lying like that. This is an article that was written by a woman here, and she was completely shameless about her lying in here. Starting with the title. Women are smarter credit card users than men. New data shows. Now, somebody should have fired her immediately, but they didn't. And what it tells is lie after dripping lie. And what I'm going to do is read some of this, and then I'm going to go ahead and debunk it for you, because this is, women will read this kind of stuff. And by the way, most of these financial articles online now referencing women are written by other women. If you want to know who the chief liars are to women today, is female financial advisors, female accountants, female realtors, female bankers. These are the primary liars to women today. And most of these financial articles written online are written by women. But here's what she says here. Women are less impulsive with their credit cards. This flies in the face of objective reality on so many levels. It shocks and insults the conscience. But okay, this is what she said. 65% of women named credit building as their top reason to apply for a new credit card, compared with 51% of men, according to the Lantern by SoFi study. Men, on the other hand, are more likely to show impulsive credit behaviors. Now, listen to what they say. Listen to what she calls, quote, impulsive credit behaviors. For instance, 66% of men say they got a credit card to receive a specific discount and cancel the card immediately, compared to 47% of women. And about 30% of men have applied for a new card specifically for the sign-up bonus, while almost 18% of women did the same thing. Women also tend to carry lower balances. Almost half of women, 49%, reported carrying a balance of $2,500 or less, and 16% carried none. On the other hand, 39% of men carry a balance of $5,000 or more. This is not a financial article. This is a financial propaganda piece. This is not a financial article. This is financial propaganda. It's disgusting. It's lying. There will be females who will read this, and this is all meant to tell and reinforce the same damn lie. Everything's okay for women. Nothing's wrong. Carry on. The men are the problem. Nothing's wrong. Nothing you're doing is wrong. None of your life decisions have been wrong. None of your decisions you've made have been wrong. Everything's fine. Everything's great. Everything's perfect. Don't worry about what these other folks are saying. Everything's okay. And she's literally sitting here telling you that. Now, the first thing you want to keep in mind here is that when it comes to credit scores in particular, now these same folk here will sit up here and tell you that there's not a great big difference between men's credit scores and women's credit scores. However, men have a slight lead. Now, that's the first thing. When it comes to credit scores, men have a slight lead. There are a few points different than women in the 700s. There are a few points different than women. But they're not saying that part to you here. She's talking about men have impulsive spending. This isn't even factual, but she's saying it anyway. But in reality, there's a few points, credit points difference between men and women, and men actually have a higher credit score than women by a few percentage points. I mean, by a few points. So much for men spend impulsively. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at these other things right here. When it says on here, I want to game you all up to something right quick. What she's saying here is highly deceptive, and let me explain to you here why. 65% of women name credit building as their top reason to apply for a new card compared to 51% of men. Okay. The difference here is that it doesn't matter what you say, it matters what you do. Everybody knows that credit cards are for building credit. But everybody already knows that. Now, when they say men are more likely to show impulsive credit behaviors, for instance, 66, 2/3 of men say they got a credit card to receive a specific discount and cancel the card immediately, compared to 47% of women. That's not impulsive decision making, that's strategic. That's strategic. Go to these YouTube channels, Stephen Graham, Ask Sebi. This is strategic. If the card is giving you an introductory bonus, if the card's giving you a great introductory offer, the Chase Sapphire card for the better part of a couple of years had a fantastic thing. It was like 200,000 points. It was a fantastic offer, and then they changed the offer. So yes, what men will do is, because men are making business moves, men are making serious moves. Okay, I will go get this card for an advantage, and then as soon as the benefits are gone, I cancel the card. Why would I continue carrying a card that has changed its position? We're thinking strategically. This is the 48 laws of power. We're thinking strategically. Yes, get that. If it has an introductory offer, but the normal rates are not very advantageous, you go in, you get the introductory offer. American Express cards are very good for this. American Express cards are very good for an advantageous introductory offer, and then the terms change. What this woman is sitting up here telling you is that, well, women sit with the risk, whereas men discharge the risk. And she's trying to sit up here and tell you that's the smart move. That the men are being impulsive. No, we're being strategic. You know what's impulsive? Going to the damn Prada store and buying a $7,000 handbag when you make $50,000 a year. That's impulsive. Men think strategically. I know I'm one of them. So what I'll do is if there's a credit card and for example, it has a $400, $500 introductory bonus. If it doesn't have an annual fee, I'll go ahead and get that card. I'll get that card and it's like, okay, if you spend $2,000 or in my case, $3,000 or $4,000 within 90 days. Well, usually it's going to be $1,500 to $2,000. If it's a business card, it'll be more, but like you'll get $1,000 cash back or $1,500 cash back. So if you spend $4,000 to $5,000 within 90 days. Well, if the card has good terms overall, that introductory offer might be enough to get me across the threshold. Now go ahead and cop that and pick that card up. However, if the card doesn't really have great terms, like American Express, they got their cards that have $295 a year fee. Well, that's great if you spend it in that way. But if you don't, or if I already got enough of those, I'll go ahead and hit that card up and I'll get that $1,000, that $1,500 introductory bonus. I'll go buy some new gear. I'll go buy some new equipment. I'll go buy some new electronics. I'll go get some new workstations. I'll go ahead and do that. And then when they get ready to drop the bomb on you, it's like, okay, usually they require you to keep the card for a certain amount of time in order to avoid penalties. So in that case, you keep the card for that amount of time and then bam, you go get rid of it. You know why? Because it's new on your credit report. A card that's been on your credit report for a while, that'll hit you majorly. But if you get rid of a card that you just got, that's going to have a minimal impact on your credit report. That's going to have a minimal hit on your credit report because it's a new card. But it doesn't hurt your age of credit, your length of credit. We think strategically. As long as the card is giving us advantages, we stick with it. When it is not, we leave it. This woman sitting up here encouraging females. Who in the hell wrote this article? Citibank? Wells Fargo? She's sitting up here telling women that that's the move. Get a card. It's impulsive to let it go. It's impulsive to stop. That the men are being impulsive. And that's supposed to make you feel better? Now this says about 30% of men have applied for a new card specifically for the sign-up bonus, Jason Black included, while only 18% of women did the same. Women also tend to carry lower balances. Almost half of women, 49%, reported carrying a balance of $2,500 or less, and 16% carried none. On the other hand, 39% of men carry a balance of $5,000 or more. First of all, I've already explained to you all that the trick bag in here is that women have more accounts. So the trick bag in here is that women carry more accounts. Women have more accounts. And if you're not bringing that point up, then you're not realizing, well, yeah, it might seem like the women are doing better or that it sounds good until you realize, oh no, the women are actually carrying more accounts. Men tend to be very strategic in that regard and don't sit up here and be nearly as impulsive as the author would tell you. Men actually think strategically when it comes to this. And that serves you over the course of a lifetime. It serves you over the course of a lifetime. And if you don't want to just admit that the men just think strategically, we think for war. We don't trust banks. You see, if you're a woman trying to survive without a man, you trust banks because you don't trust your father. You don't trust your husband. You want to have veto power over them. The banks won't give you veto power. They're not going to give you that. They're not going to give you veto power over them. So what you end up doing is screwing yourself. Well, Jason, how do you know that right there? I got another chart of bad vibes to lay on you here. This is some information. This is some other data that, by the way, the author is aware of this, but she skewed it because it doesn't serve her purposes. So she skewed the data. But this article is from another article on CNBC. about fewer women now pay their credit card balances in full. Doesn't sound a damn thing like what you were hearing from over here, now were you? That women carry lower balances. Yeah, did you notice she said lower balances, but did you notice what she didn't say? And she knows this. That women don't pay off their credit card balances in full. And give you an idea here, and I've been talking about this now for years. When you take a look at this, there's a big gender gap when it comes to paying credit card bills. And by the way, this was before the pandemic. It's worse now. When you take a look at the numbers, men versus women, of those who are, quote, very confident in paying their monthly statement balance in full this month, almost half of men, 46%, and a little over a third of women, 35%, are very confident that they can pay their statement balance in full this month. Now, folks, I want you to understand something. There's a difference between your statement balance and the total amount you owe. So the statement balance in this case here might be, so here's your balance. Are they paying the whole thing? Let's go ahead and give them credit for the entire amount owed. And let's just say that I'm going to go way far here and say, okay, they pay off their entire balances in full every month. Almost half the men are very confident they can do that. Only a little over a third of the women are very confident. Let's hit you again. Of those who are not at all confident in paying their monthly statement balance in full this month, only 8% of men, but almost a quarter of women, 24%, are not at all confident that they can pay their monthly balance in full this month. Why in the hell does this matter? Because when lying, deceitful writers get on the internet and say these kind of things, what they're leaving out is the fact that the interest for those of us who have credit cards that give you bonuses, that give you benefits, you get 5% cash back, you get points. That only works if you pay off the entire balance every month. If you carry a balance, you're going to be paying 15%, 17%, in some cases 25% or more in interest. In other words, if you carry a balance, they'll give you 5% back and then going to charge you 25% interest for the remaining balance. Which is why in my credit card workshops, I tell you all, get credit cards that don't have an annual fee, get credit cards that give you bonuses and that more importantly, that give you cash back and give you rewards, and pay every single month, pay the entire balance. Treat your credit card like a debit card. Pay the balance every single month. That's the only way you get the benefits. If you don't get any of the benefits. Because they're going to strip it all away in interest plus another 15-20%. So if you do get credit cards, you must be strategic. Something that the author here didn't mention. Oh, it didn't serve her purposes. Let's keep going here. Of those who say they paid their credit card's monthly statement balance in full in all of the last 6 months. For men, it's 32%, and for women, it's 28%. Now, that might sound great until you get to the next one. Those who say that they paid their credit card's monthly statement balance in full none of the last 6 months. In other words, people who are carrying a balance. Of those who pay their balances in full every month, almost a third of the men and 28% of the women. But for those who are carrying a balance, they're not paying it in full at all in the last 6 months, only 10% of men, but 3 times that amount of the women. 31% of the women are carrying a balance. So you see this woman sitting here lying through her teeth, lying by omission, leaving this out because this is meant to be a cheerleading piece that doesn't at all bring you into reality of where women stand. While she's sitting here lying about this. I know I'm upsetting some folks here tonight because they're not hitting the likes for me here. I know I'm depressing a lot of folks here must be getting depressed about hearing this. Ladies, you need somebody to tell you the truth. And fellas, if some of this is making you feel a little squeamish and you're feeling uncomfortable and you're kind of tender and sensitive about this, might be time to get your finances in order. It might be time. Now, the next part of this article here, by the way, says, unfortunately, good credit habits don't always result in credit wins for women. Excuse me, I thought you said that women are smarter credit card users than men. If women are smarter credit card users than men, if they're using credit better than men, then it would show in the results. You can't game the results. And she's sitting here telling you, that's what tells you that she lied and left out information, because this is just an article meant to deceive you and give an opinion and to try to lead you. It's meant to influence you, not to actually tell you the truth. She goes on to say, according to the survey, women, were twice as likely, 12%, to see no improvements to their credit after getting a credit card compared to men, 6%. Men are also more successful in negotiating lower interest rates. 69% of men said they got a lower interest rate after speaking with their credit card issuer compared to only 46% of women. Then she goes on to get really silly. Other data shows that building and maintaining great credit can be even more challenging for women at the intersection of other groups traditionally underrepresented by the credit system. No, women are more impulsive. Women are not strategic in spending, and it is other women like Anna Staples who encourage them to do this. Thus, they can't get ahead. So listening to other failed females, listening to your mammy, listening to your aunties, listening to your girlfriends, all of them are in the damn ditch, and none of them have a clue of how to get out of it. None of them. Next up, savior syndrome and entitlement delusion. When you are a woman who sits up here and tells people that I'm going to quit my job because I'm burnt out from all these bastard kids that I've been having and all this debt I put myself in, I'm going to leave. I'm going to go get me a home. 2/3, 65%, 2/3 of women would buy a home without being married first. You know what? That number sounds damn familiar to me. 2/3 of women would buy a home without being married first. They would buy a home without being married first. 2/3. Where have I seen that 2/3 number before? Oops, there it is. There it is. I thought I saw that number before. I thought I'd seen that number somewhere before. Yeah, it looked very familiar. When women are left by themselves, they make emotional decisions. They make impulsive decisions. They ignore opportunities. They listen to other lying, failed females. And then when it all comes crashing down around their ears, they tell everybody, we need a bailout. These are decisions that the women as a group made. Yeah, but we need a bailout from our strong and independent decisions. We need a bailout. We need you to come give us child care. Even though we had it's our body, our choice. Then if it's your body and your choice, it's your debt and your burden. How is it that when it's time when she wants to go have the sexual thrills, then it's my body, my choice. But when it's time to pay for these decisions, she wants to make it everybody's burden. Why, it's everybody needs to pitch in when it's time to pay her burdens. And if you're in a situation where you cannot get that, a situation like your mortgage, a situation like your credit cards, If you're in a situation where you can't get a bailout and you actually have to carry those burdens, what it results in is, it results in this. You die broke. We got women out here making $40, $60, $80, $100, $120,000 a year, broke as a damn joke. Last week, I spoke to several women last week about precisely this kind of thing. And for those of you who didn't watch my video, The Wealth Killer, you want to go ahead and see that. The video I did last week goes into meticulous detail. I had a woman who called me. She bought a $45,000 house back in 1998. She is still paying for it and will be paying for it for the next 20 plus years. She was 7 years away from paying it off. She's never been married, never had a kid, and never had a chance. It was a $45,000 house, and now she just refinanced for another 30 years. She was 7 years away from paying it off, refinanced for another 30 years. When she is done, that $45,000 house will cost her over $200,000. Oh yeah, and it will take her 40 or 50 years to pay it off. I'm sorry, 50 or 60 years to pay it off. A $45,000 house. And this was before the subprime mortgage crisis. Not bad enough, I had another female who called us on Patreon. She lives in California, got a 1,300 square foot house, 1,300 square feet, bought it a few years back for $368,000, somewhere around there. She also did a refinance because they can't afford these things. She was paying $2,700 a month. Now she's paying $2,100 a month. Congratulations. I ran the numbers out. She's going to pay about $900,000 when she's done. She's going to pay $900,000 for that house. $2,100 a month. But all told, what she has paid already, plus what before the refi, and what she's going to pay after refinancing, altogether, she's going to pay about $900,000 for a 1,300 square foot house. She's a single mom. She is unmarried. And this is where her leadership got her. And if there had been anything even slightly resembling a man around, he wouldn't have allowed you to do that. So at this point right now, ladies, when you all go dig yourselves in these financial quicksands, when you all go dig yourselves in these financial pits, just understand it's going to be men around to lay on top of you. But he ain't there to do that. No. When you start talking about sharing your debts, he's going to turn to Mac Dre. That's not my job. That's not my job. So if you're out here like most women and you are looking for somebody to come play savior, then that is the number 2 reason you'll be broke. And let's also be clear about something else here. Women make the calculus that no matter what they do, no matter how bad they behave, no matter how reckless their decisions are, no matter how impulsive, no matter how insulting they are to the men and other people around them, no matter what they do, that their bad choices are in society, that the world is still going to give them deferential treatment. The world is still going to give them chivalry and come to their rescue. So they have actually made the calculation that at the end of the day, if she's down and out, don't worry about that. There's going to be some man somewhere that's going to step up to the plate. There's going to be some man somewhere. Don't worry about it. I can get a savior, and if I can swing some butt cheeks and get a savior here. Why do you think you see all this twerking and jerking out there? These are women saying, hey, they're not signaling to men, and they're not signaling to other women, and they're not doing it for entertainment. They're doing it because, hey, I'm trying to signal to a man. A woman shaking her butt only means one thing. We're the men. I need a man to come and do this. Is signaling the men. Okay, can anybody hear this clapping? Where the men at? Come get up in here. Somebody needs to come and fix this circuit breaker. Somebody needs to come pay this. No, ma'am. There's not a problem with the circuit breaker. Your electricity has been cut off. She's like, I know. Can we get a man to come and drop some benefits? If I sit here and shake my butt in front of this circuit breaker long enough, hopefully somebody will come and pay the electric bill for me. That's the calculus that they've made. I'm not being facetious. I'm serious. Women have made the calculus that if all else fails, I can swing some butt cheeks and somebody is going to come save me. Some man somewhere is going to come riding to my rescue, and she's going to do it usually by means of leveraging sexual access. Problem. This is an option only for young women. This is not an option for older chicks. This is an option for young women. The women who are in the most trouble, the women who need a savior most, you can't get one. You can't get one. Let's be very, very clear to all of you older females out here over the age of 25 or 30. Somebody needs to tell you what the number really is. You can forget about it. Absolutely, by the time you're over the age of 30 and over the age of 40, forget it. The train has left the station. You can't be a kept woman at 35 and 40. You can't be a stay-at-home wife at 35 and 40. That's a young woman's game. Give it up. That's a young woman's game. You're looking in the mirror and seeing yourself from 20 and 30 years ago. You're trying to compete with chicks young enough to be your daughter. Being a kept woman, being a trophy wife, being a sugar baby, that's a young woman's game. When she is young and pure and unbesmirched and doesn't have a bunch of road miles and she can be molded and she's chomping at the bit to be a part of a man's program, that's a young woman's game. All you old here, phone number 1-800-bankruptcy chicks, forget it. That's not an option for you. Your job is not looking to be your savior. And guess what? Government's not trying to do it either. That includes Nancy Pelosi. That's a young woman's game. Getting a savior is a young woman's game. Being entitled is a young woman's game. That's not an older woman's game. You can't be 30 with entitlement issues. You damn sure can't be 30 with 3 or 4 kids in tow with entitlement issues. That's not going to work for anybody. I don't care who you are. It doesn't work. This idea that you can make all the bad decisions that you want to and then somebody is going to come along and swoop in like Tarzan and save you from it, that's a delusion. That's a way of saying I want to abuse as many people as I can. I want to be as abusive as I can be. And then somebody's going to save me from the consequences of my abusiveness. Somebody's going to save me from that. But last but not least, as promised, the number one reason why women die broke. This is a thing that I've told you all for years. I've told you for years. It has not changed. It never will change. Not unless the laws of physics fundamentally alter. The number one reason why women die broke, why women die poor, and why this generation of women will be the most cash-strapped and most miserable because they will spend their lives working until they die because they will be too poor to retire is because of the quality of the man that they choose. This one thing alone, by itself, to the exception of all other things, this one thing alone is the reason, is the single biggest factor in whether or not a woman gets out of the game winning and whether or not she gets out of the game losing. Or whether or not she can't leave the game at all. The quality of the man that you choose. Ladies, get this through your heads. You've been trying for 5 decades, 6 decades. It doesn't work. Strong and independent is a myth. It's a lie. And there are plenty of corporations who will sell it. It's amazing how women will sit here and acknowledge to you they understand that banks and corporations lie to get people into debt. And then they will immediately turn right around and go walking off into whatever lie these people want to give them. The same banks and corporations that they will sit there and look at you and say, yeah, I know they lie to get people into debt. And they will sit here and refuse to acknowledge that, by the way, they're playing on your broken, fragile, bloated ego to get you to do the same thing. What you want to do doesn't work. It won't work because it can't work. It can't. That's the reason it doesn't work. If you do not have an intelligent, capable, competent man to invest in you, if you don't have an intelligent, capable, competent man who is your spine, who is your foundation, if you don't have that, you are a sitting duck. And the reason for that is because the reason why my program from last week, the reason why Wealth Killer was so important was because as women, you don't think about your lives as a mortgage. You've mortgaged your time. You only have a certain number of years you can work, which means you only have a certain amount of money that you will make. You're going to have to coast or cruise or retire on however much you have made or however much you don't make. So if you actually do the calculus and work out the equation to its conclusion, then you realize that, well, if I'm only going to make a couple of $1 million in my lifetime, and that's if you're really good, getting a $500,000 mortgage or a $700,000 mortgage, wow, that eats up a quarter or a third of my lifetime earnings. Refinancing is there were some women talking about you can refinance. Stupid on top of stupid. Refinancing is not free money. That's just restarting the clock. When I told them, by the way, you realize, dummy, all you did was restart the clock. Oh, you right. Yeah, they wanted to argue with me right up until I said, excuse me, a refinance is starting the clock. They're not canceling your mortgage, and they're not giving you a refund on the money you already paid. Now, if you're this slow to be able to acknowledge that reality, and you only acknowledged it after Jason Black slapped you in the face with it and wouldn't back down, and then you finally acknowledge that truth, don't you understand for all the decisions you have to make in your life on your own, you're dead meat. Your pride and your stubbornness are preventing you from accepting simple realities because it's not convenient, because you want to believe you can get a free lunch. You want to believe you can get something for nothing. Can we just be totally honest? You want to believe that you can abuse men. You want to believe that you can do it and that the men are here to be your saviors and that no matter how you act, there will be a man out there who you can exploit. This exploitation fantasy has to die because the bottom line is there's not enough men anymore willing to pay into it. And with the coming male majority, you won't even have that option politically. It's going to be a lot of you out here trying to get an OnlyFans who won't have that option either. Now, the reason why I bring this up, in case you thought I've forgotten or whatever, I didn't forget. That brings us back to Miss Kayla Nicole. Now, boy, I'm telling you, man, she was out here and she was doing the most. She had zaddy. She was doing it big. She was telling people, yeah, it's a $50 Zara bikini on this yacht out here. Oh, she was loving it. She was with him for 5 years. Now they have apparently broken up. And where does that leave her at? Because she played the cards wrong. Let's be very, very clear. If you play these cards, if you go for zaddy, you got to be in it to win it. You got to be in it to win it. You got to stay there. Well, some folks are good at it and some folks just ain't. Now, obviously she's feeling the sting because 23 hours ago, you don't have to worry about me. Oh, trust me, we're not. Trust me, we're not. But what else is she doing here 3 days ago? Well, let me see if I can leverage these looks. She's getting extra heavy with it. Let me go ahead and leverage it. 4 days ago. 4 days ago. She's working on it here. Can I just be cute to be cute? Oh boy. Having my way, the end. Yes, it is. The end. It certainly is. By the way, couldn't help but notice you're by yourself with a bunch of other broke down, busted females sitting up here congratulating you. Yeah, as you all become old, aged out ovarians. Living this non-consensual Golden Girls fantasy. There's nothing cool about being a Golden Girl. Hi, this is your Uber driver. I'm outside. First of all, she ain't really sitting behind the wheel good. Second of all, yes, ma'am. I suggest you, this is an Uber driver right here. This is perfectly fine. I suggest you keep that in mind. Keep your driver's license good. I suspect you might need it, Miss Nicole. I suspect you might be needing it soon. I suggest you keep that driver's license and insurance up to par. Now, here she's talking about, and she does this a lot here, poison but the good kind. All right, well, at least she's coming, obviously advertising toxicity. So at least go ahead and do that. So this is her on that yacht, I imagine. She got every damn picture from every damn angle. You know what? I've had folks who have been interview subjects, and as you know, I go to very expensive places when I film. When I film, I go to very expensive places. I want to get a very good view. Had one interview subject in particular. Boy, I'm telling you, she must have never been in a nice place like that before. And I know she hadn't been. She showed up with her dude, and she had barely gotten through the door good. Literally got through the door, and I said, "Hi, I'm Jason." "Hi, leave her name out. "Hi, says her name. Tells the guy behind her immediately. She lets my hand go to tell the guy behind her, "Ooh, come take a picture of me in front of this." I'm like, that wasn't a good look. Dude, do you know what your woman just sat right here and told you to come and floss on my dime? Dude, don't you know? What you're telling people is they can pull your broad. What you're showing people is she has no respect for you. Just that quickly, she ain't seen nothing. She showed me just that quickly. Oh, that's all it took. They can pull your broad. They can pull your broad. Not a good look. So when you see a female on a yacht and she takes this many damn pictures, it's because she doesn't go on yachts very often. And she's like, okay, let me take as many as I can here. Don't know when I'll be back. Ma'am, do you see this? First, you're standing here. To the left. To the right. Sit on the side. I'm like, sit up close. Here I am walking away. Here I am coming back. Come on now. Here I come. Here I go. There I am. There I was. Left, right. Does this strike you as somebody who goes on yachts very often? Does this strike you as somebody who goes on a yacht very often? With her 649,000 followers on Instagram. Now, you all remember what Denzel Washington said in American Gangster. The loudest one in the room is the weakest one in the room. Nothing is weaker than doing something like this. Don't you know, nobody is falling for this. So, glad you got your little phony prop money up there. But, yeah, nobody's falling for it. Nobody is. If you got to go through this much damn work, it's like, okay, there's your prop. Okay, fine. You better go see if Travis will take you back. Better go see if Travis will take you back. I suggest you go check and see what's going on. More cars here. I'm doing this for a reason. Handle with care. Tell Zaddy that. How many times is she going to take pictures in the same car? Who is this for? Oh, look. Sitting with a bunch of other chicks. All of y'all alone. Or at least trying to take each other's man. Think about that for a few moments, just in case you thought things were going great. I assure you they're not. Now, what really got my attention was this. This right here, and then another one. It's actually already on the screen, but we'll get to it next. Couldn't help but notice this right here. I mean, you'd think I'd have a tequila brand partnership. You'd think I'd have a tequila brand partnership at this point. Sounds like somebody is using their Instagram to audition. By the way, she named a bunch of them up here. You see how many she named? You see all the stuff she named up here? Somebody is trying to get on. Somebody is trying to get on is what I'm telling you. Yeah, somebody trying to get on. She gave 5 years to this dude here. She's still trying to get on is what I'm telling you. She's still trying to get there. That's not me talking. That's not me talking. Somebody is still trying to get on. So when you see this kind of behavior here, it tells you a whole lot in that regard. Now, doesn't it? Tells you a whole lot. If that wasn't enough for you, I also noticed this. Interesting. She says, I've been on the hunt for a collagen supplement that can strengthen my hair, nails, skin, and joints. And this drink organ collagen peptide powder just gets it. It's completely flavorless, so you can add it to anything you like. It also contains 50 organic superfoods. Okay, this is an ad. You see hashtag ad. Thought that was interesting. Hashtag ad. And by the way, available for purchase online at Costco now. So, she's tagged both of them. She's tagged both of those. I guess the green tea people didn't return the phone calls. I don't know. I guess the green tea people didn't return the phone calls. You all tell me about how much you think that this pays. You tell me about how much do you think this pays. And the reason I bring this up is because I want to bring you the most devastating point here of all. Kayla Nicole is 30 years old now. Kayla Nicole is 30 years old. When did she meet Travis? That means she met Travis when she was 25. What were the numbers I just gave you? She's 30 years old now. She met Travis when she was 25. In other words, he was supposed to be the horse that took her home. And instead, for whatever reason, either because she jumped off or she got thrown off, now she's in a situation where she's 30 years old. 30 years old and back out here in the sexual marketplace trying to make it on her own. Looking like La Anthony. Surrounded by a bunch of other chicks. And by the way, I gotta tell you right now, ladies, I don't know. How you all tell me, how many of y'all sit up here and these are the kind of pics you take with other women? Put y'all's hands on my hips and put your hands near my butt cheeks here. Ladies, I know some of y'all are touchy-feely, but is this the kind of touchy-feely? I don't know. Maybe I'll open up the phone calls here in a minute. We'll find out here. Is this the kind of touchy-feely that you all go for here nowadays, or am I missing something? I couldn't help but notice it. Is this the way it goes here, or Am I missing something? Just couldn't help but notice that. So, yeah, she's showing you that. But by the same token, it doesn't get a hell of a whole lot better. This is not a good look. A woman who has to go try to get her own money, that's not a good look. Especially not if you sitting here with a dude like this. Okay. If I wasn't showing it here, let me go back and show that again if I didn't show it here. Didn't have the picture up. Ladies, is this the kind of picture right here you like to take with your girlfriends? Is this the kind of picture right here that you want to take with your girlfriends? Is this the kind of picture y'all takes? Because I see some of you here who do that, but for a lot of you, I don't know. Is this too close and personal? Are we looking for somebody to comfort us and we're kind of putting that energy in the wrong places? I don't know. If you think it's an inappropriate question, you can tell me here later. But by the way, I couldn't help but notice that's what's happening here. To me, I'm just like, okay, y'all wrap your hands around other women like that. Let me grab the back of, I'm just going to say the back of the other woman's pants here, and she's got her hands all up on you like that. I don't know. This seems kind of suggestive to me. How many of you ladies out here, you hug up on your girlfriends like this? How many of you ladies hug up on your girlfriends like this? Go ahead, be honest. Number one sign of being a loser is a female who has to go get her own money. If you're really that cute, you should have somebody bringing it to you. But the money is fake. Hell, the car is probably fake too. But you get the idea. Last but not least, this one right here. This is devastating. Yeah, you're so great and so wonderful, you're on your own. All those looks and everything else, it didn't get you anything. Take a look at where you are. And I am being somewhat symbolic, but that's my point. Ladies, the number one decision you will make in your life is the quality of the man that you choose. There is nothing else that comes close, nothing else that comes even remotely close. If that man is a winner, then you need to recognize you got the last train leaving. Do not bring your ass back out here into the sexual marketplace. Do not come back out here rolling the dice again. Get out. Get out and stay out. The number one reason that women will die broke is because they make horrendous calculations about the quality of man that they choose. Either they choose a deficient male, or worse, they choose none at all. Well, I'll pull it myself. And that doesn't work. It's never worked. The number one reason you all will die broke, will die poor, will die working, will die struggling, your best, most vibrant years will be left behind you, is because you do not have a man to partner with. You have chosen poor quality men. You've chosen deficient males because you valued having a man you could control. The only men who are going to let you control them are the deficient ones. And if you are a congenitally broken female, you'll choose a weak male. You'll choose one that you can lead. You'll choose one you can control. You'll choose one that you can emotionally dominate. And you'll choose him because you can emotionally dominate him, and then you'll be crying and boo-hooing and singing the blues when the bill comes due. Well, guess what? The bill just came due. It just came due for Kayla Nicole. It's come due for a lot of you because you broke this rule. You chose a poor quality man. And now you found out far too late the quality of man that you have in your life, committed to you, doing for you, is going to determine everything. There is nothing, absolutely nothing more important in a woman's life than the quality of the man that she partners with and chooses. It literally is the difference between whether or not she will live comfortably or doesn't live at all. It is literally the difference between living comfortably and not being able to live at all. There's nothing worse than getting to the age of 40, being a 40-something-year-old female and realizing I'm just starting. I got to pull the weight on my own. You've already made it past midlife. That's not the way the script's supposed to go. That's not the way the script is supposed to go. That wasn't what you were counting on. But that's where you are. The telephone lines are now open. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Your personal access code to the program that laid the foundation upon which all of these other YouTube channels steal and copycat everything that they talk about. This is the place that they get it from. I'm also going to go ahead and open up the Zoom for you here as well. So I'll go ahead and post the link to that in the chat room here. But you are welcome to give us a call on this. We are discussing the number one reason that women die broke. We've gone through the other we've gone through the other 5. But most importantly, the number one reason that they'll die broke, the number one reason that Kayla Nicole is panicking now, the number one reason that things go off the rails is the quality of man or lack thereof that you have. Life isn't a game. Life is serious, dead-ass business. Your ability to make the proper choices are going to determine what quality of life you have and what quality of life you don't. Your ability to choose properly, to not choose emotionally, to not sit up here and let people push your damn buttons and put you behind the 8 ball. Your ability to do that is going to determine everything else that happens in your life. It's going to determine everything else that happens in your life. So I would recommend that you choose wisely. I've gone ahead and posted the link for Zoom there in the chat, in the super chat. I posted the link for Zoom. It's pinned to the top of the super chat, so go ahead and join us there. I give priority to people on Zoom. By the way, if you get on Zoom and if you do not turn your camera on, you will be removed. So keep in mind, do not come to Zoom to hang out. We're going to go ahead and take a few phone calls here. Let me get caller from area code 959. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, Jason. My name is Mahogany. I'm calling from Augusta, Georgia, but I'm originally from Hartford, Connecticut.
All right, Mahogany from Augusta. What's on your mind?
I just wanted to call and say you're preaching the gospel. I met my husband when I was 23. I'm 25 now. And I just listen to all your broadcasts, and I really hear when you talk about failed women, I see my mom. That was the only example I had growing up. And she really tried to set me up for failure. And when I met my husband, she was really jealous. And it was clear she tried to fight me. It was really sad. That's why I left them in Connecticut and we moved down here to Augusta.
So
on top of financial reasons.
Was it just her?
I just wanted to say thank you for your broadcast.
Okay, was it just her? Was it just her? Or was it other women in your family also?
Well, she's just for proximity. Well, she was like the biggest example. I have my sister who's 9 years older than me. The other women in my family, unfortunately, they're with the LGBT thing, so I never really had a relationship with them growing up, and I don't have a relationship with them now either. It's just a mess up there.
Where are your people from originally?
Well, my daughter's Jamaican, but my mom is ADOS. Her mother's side is from Union, South Carolina, and her father's side is from Albany, Georgia.
Okay. What about your dad in this equation?
Unfortunately, he was a coward, and I tried to confront him as an adult, try to apologize for my mom and move forward, but he didn't receive it, and we just don't have a relationship, unfortunately. I did have a really good stepdad.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Apparently he wasn't good enough to keep your mom under wraps, but by the same token, I want you all to understand there's a reason why I said these things. It's not just cliche. The quality of the man the woman chooses is going to determine the trajectory of her life. If she's got a competent workhorse, her life is going to be exponentially better. If she gets out here and tries to hump it on her own, the problem is what's going to happen when you inevitably fail. Right now, we ain't got no boss broads out here. All we got are a bunch of chicks posing on Instagram in a bunch of debt. That's all we got. Nobody's making any major moves. They're not killing the game. It's really just a bunch of chicks and a bunch of debt. That's all. That's all. And they're sitting around trying to comfort each other, but it's not getting better. And as you get older, the real thing is you need to be honest with yourself. If you're a woman who doesn't want to work, you got to come to that conclusion early. You can't jump up at no damn 28, 29 years old with 2 kids or 28, 29 years old and single talking about I want to be a kept woman. I want to be a stay-at-home. You can't jump up and do that. You'll be a working kept woman. You can be a working kept woman. You can't jump up here at 29 and 30 years old talking about being a kept woman. So if you really don't want to work, if you really want to be a woman who doesn't work, if you really want to be a stay-at-home wife, you have to make that choice early. How old were you when you married your husband?
We married really, let's see. We got married right before the pandemic. I was still 23.
Okay. And
22.
are you working now?
Yeah, I'm working.
Well, at least she has.
But he pays all of the bills.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. At least she has the option.
Let me pay a utility.
There she goes. Can I chip in? Yeah, that's a young woman's game. By the way, do you have any children?
No, sir.
Yeah, everything I just said. That's a young woman's game. We got too many chicks out here who ruin their chances. And they're sitting up here acting like they got some leverage to strong arm their way into their fantasy life. That's a broken damn psyche. This is a young woman's game. Young women can sit up here and talk about being trophy wives. Young women can do that. This is not something that older women can do. They can't do that. Not at all. The older chicks are going to have to understand this is what it's going to be. So to the ones who are listening to you, it's like, well, she did it. Yeah, she fits the profile. He met her when she was young. She didn't have a bunch of dudes who made their impression on her and run through her. So she was molded by other men, and she's been molded by so many other men that she's uncoachable. He got her young. He got her about as fresh as he could. And from there, it's like, okay, he's the first one. He gets to be fully invested. That's the way it works. That's the way it works. And she's chosen a quality male. At this point here, it's your ball to fumble. At this point here, it's your ball to fumble.
I'm not trying to fumble the ball.
Well, there's a bunch of them out there who do, though. But it's your ball to fumble. I'll let you have the last word.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. To all the young ladies out there like me, stay feminine, stay fit. Don't let yourself go, and keep listening to the broadcast. Internalize what Jason is saying. Really do. Be one. Thank you.
Thank you very much for giving us a call. Yes, internalize it or don't. Or don't. You don't have to listen. You don't have to do that at all. Go ahead and do what you gonna do. If you think for a moment that you can turn back the hands of time and get a do-over, if you think that this game is gonna run for another 500 years, you're crazy as hell. Cash out your chips and leave the casino. If you have the ability to do that. Let me get caller from area code 912. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Jay, this is Mr. Christopher. Calling from Savannah, Georgia.
Christopher from Savannah, Georgia. What's on your mind?
Yeah, man, real quick. Just wanted to say thank you for all you've done. And you pointed out some great points. Like when I was married, I'm divorced now. I was paying 80%, and she was only paying 20%. Now she got to pay the whole 100% with the child support I give her. You know, I even picked up another job just so I wouldn't be broke. But she didn't do that. She chose to, you know, take this route And now guess what, Jason? It's summertime. Kids out of school. We used to go to Islands of Adventure, Universal Studios, Wild Adventures. Nah, can't do none of that. I'm on child support. Sorry, kids. Oh, but school shopping coming up. I usually do my school shopping early, Jason, when I was in the house with the family and all that. Nah, unless you use that money with the child support, I can't give you nothing extra. Well, why you can't? Well, that's why I'm on child support. You asked for the divorce, So you're right. When they on their own, all of a sudden, they want the same treatment from, like, just using my example. She want the same treatment, cutting the grass, giving money, getting hairdos, haircuts, all that stuff, but don't want to give up, the backside, the booty, you know what I mean? But you can't have it both ways, So when they on their own, it don't hit until it actually hit. So that's what I called about, just to chime in on that part.
Keep something in mind. Women don't take men seriously until the phone calls stop coming in. As long as things are good and sweet, as long as the men are making phone calls, they're going to believe that. As long as the phone is ringing, she's going to tell herself, even if it's a fantasy, I've got options. So long as that phone is still ringing. It's only when the phone stops ringing. It's only when the men stop calling. It's only when the bills get real. All of a sudden, they take it seriously. Because here's the real problem. For example, now, how old is
I'm taking notes. Go ahead.
How old is this woman?
Huh? She's 32. Just turned 32. Nope. Sorry. Just had a birthday in March. Just turned 33.
Okay. She's 33 years old. She got how many kids?
She got one before our marriage plus my two. So that's 3 in total. I only have 2 with her. And I took care of that one since she was 2 years old. Father never seen a day in her life.
Well, and she showed how grateful she was. So if you want to know the real issue with single moms, single moms are not grateful for anything. They became single moms because they're congenital liars, by and large. So, like I say, fellas, I tell y'all, it's like if you're going to deal with single moms, fellas, you better wait till you're older. Damn sure don't get them pregnant or marry them. Do not. Absolutely 110% do not. If you're a young fella, don't deal with them at all. And if you're an older fella and you got the run of this, you know the rules. Don't get them pregnant and don't marry them. They're not going to appreciate it. They're there to see what they can get. They're there to play a position. So don't do that. And make sure they're part of the rotation.
One more question, Jason.
Well, slow down. Make sure they're part of the rotation.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But here's the other issue. So you got this chick sitting up here. She's 33 years old. She got 3 kids in tow. And what state does she live in now?
Same place, Savannah.
She lives in Savannah, Georgia.
Yeah.
What the hell?
I moved out the house.
Okay. No, just keep it short. All right. She lives in Savannah, Georgia. Now, what is a man? And let's just say we're talking about a dude making $100,000 a year. What is he gonna? Of all the women who are gonna be his prime options, what man is looking for a 33-year-old single mom with 3 kids in Savannah, Georgia? Ladies,
I tried to tell her that.
Y'all got to put the damn fantasy talk to the side here. This damn fantasy savior delusion. You don't get to sit up here and tell men what they should want. All this damn bullying they try to do on the internet. In case you didn't know this, it ain't working. There's no man out there who's making 6 figures. Hell, there's no man making $70,000 that he's sitting there at home dreaming, dear Lord, I wish I could find a chick with 3 kids in Savannah, Georgia. That's not happening. It's not happening. All you're really going to do is march your happy. Like I said, they think emotionally. If we can say thinking and emotional are 2 different things. But that's the way that they deal with things, is emotionally. So in the moment, this would be a good idea. I can flex my muscle while the system will back me up. Now, first of all, what she found out is one thing here. Now, because you mentioned about child support, are you on alimony?
Right. No, actually, she didn't go for that.
Okay. And how much in child support are you paying?
Okay. Cash value $1,110, all in total, $2,200
A month?
a month.
Now, are you paying for just the one child, or are you paying for all of them?
I'm paying for the 2 childs that's biologically last name mine. And we're talking health insurance, life insurance. My daughter has braces. And, all that put together, $2,200. But the cash I have to give her is $1,110.
Okay, so you're paying for their health benefits then?
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I'm paying for all that.
And what does
Make
she,
sure,
does she work?
Yeah, she work, and it makes it so funny, man. She work at a bank, so she feel like she getting choosed on all day, and I feel like that kind of had a roll on her, thinking she had options. But just to be real frank with you, I work a lot of hours, Jason. I put over like 400 hours a month, and just time on just working and overtime and all that. So all I want when I come home is sex. Everything else, is taken care of. But that's the one thing she had a problem with, keeping up with me about.
Well, I mean, when you're dealing with single moms, you have to understand that they have an unhealthy relationship with sex. So usually they got run through. They usually got run through early in life. Remember, I told y'all the single mom boot camp. I keep reminding you all. In their minds, they were, if they're single moms, they usually were dealing with dudes who were older than they were. Them fellas, they feel like they got over on them because she thought she was young and slick and cunning, and she realized no, these dudes are smarter and slicker than you. You're not nearly as smart as you thought you were. So then it become in her mind when she meets the next fella, she's here to make you pay for everything the other guys didn't do, or that she felt they should have done. So then it becomes, let me get him before he gets me. But just coming in the door, they have an unhealthy relationship with sex. For them, sex is warfare. It's not power, it's warfare. Which is why every time you all see these folks, man, like I said, I'm going up and down his Facebook every day. You look on Maury Povich, Jerry Springer, they have an unhealthy relationship. There's nothing good about it. So for them, it's a tool that they use to extract benefits. They don't care about kids or their well-being. So she became a single mom because she's got problems and issues. And what men are supposed to do is be smart enough to recognize that and not get themselves in a quagmire. Dudes go off and try to get, an easy win. They grab the low-hanging fruit. And here's the killing part, brother. Let me ask you a question here.
Yeah.
It's going to hurt you a little bit.
Go ahead.
I got to ask you this.
Nah, come on.
In hindsight, how many years ago did you meet her?
I met her in 2008, and it was less than 3 months when she told me she was pregnant. And that's when I said, well, I want to build a family. Because, she was with me, man. When I met her, she was in college. She was in the dorm, living home with her mother. So, and that's another thing I agree with you about. She never dealt with our finances. I dealt with the finances because she never had her own place to stay. I had my own place to stay since I was 17. And I met her when I was 22.
Okay, but how many years altogether?
So I agree with you on that.
Okay, how many years were you?
All together, we was married for 14 years. So, we was married since 2010. So that's 12 years plus 2. Yeah, about 14 years altogether. Jason.
Okay. Was you say 14 years altogether?
Right. That's 10 married and 2 without marriage.
Okay. Here's the real thing, brother. Did you marry her before you got her pregnant or after?
After.
Okay.
After.
First issue.
She was wife material, man.
No.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
Okay.
I'm listening.
Here's the thing I want you to understand. You guys got to get this clear here. Did you really have to marry her? Think about that for a few moments.
I wanted to marry her, man.
Okay,
because I wanted to build a family.
Okay, but she already had a kid.
Yeah, but I didn't know that. No, I knew that once she told me she was pregnant, but in the beginning she kind of didn't let me know about a kid for like the first month. But after she got pregnant, then she was like, yeah, this is going to be a problem because that's the reason why she got back to school.
After you got her pregnant.
After I got her pregnant, that's when she let me know, like, hey, I already have a child. She's almost 2 years old. Yes, you're right.
Okay, so you're saying that she
hid
the first child from you?
Because she didn't know it was going to be that serious. That's what she told me, right.
Okay, but dude.
Because her child father never was in her life, right.
That's not a minor thing either. How was she hiding the whole damn child? Where was this kid at?
Well, I told you, I met her. She was in a college dorm. Like, I met her.
Yeah,
you know
so
what I mean?
where
She
was the,
in college.
okay,
She took
so
her from
where,
college.
yeah, but where was the child at, sir?
At her mother's crib. Her mother and her father stayed like maybe 30 minutes away from where I was at the time, when I first met her.
Here's the thing,
So
for
on the weekend, she'll
for
go
a
home to
woman,
mom's house.
okay, but for a woman to be with you and getting pregnant and hasn't even mentioned that she's got a kid already, there's my problem with it. What I'm saying is a bunch of you dudes out here, you all be so desperate to get something. You all are just in this desperate drought. Just all the time.
No,
You're
hold on, Jason. You got to be fair, brother.
Sir.
Come on, brother.
Okay.
It ain't about being desperate.
Sir.
Okay, I'm not going to talk over the host. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
if that happens again, I'm not your girlfriend.
Nah, you're okay. I'm sorry, man. My bad.
Let me explain something to you, dude. You dudes run around here so damn thirsty and desperate, and if you don't like to hear it, that's your ass. But we're all sitting here looking at you and laughing because, by the way, this is thirsty as just, no, I ain't. You sound like these single mammies out here, dude. This is how you ended up ringed by one. It would be one thing if you was laying up with one. I'd be like, okay, this fella right here is acting like he's on it. We're sitting up here looking at how you screwed up and you telling us that what we see in front of us isn't what we see. He's talking to us like we're the hoes in this equation. Like we can't see what the hell he did. Once this chick sits up here and tells you that, once this chick sits over here, look, you know what, you're too quick to try to talk is one thing. It's one thing if you had some knowledge or wisdom to give, brother, your life is back-to-back L's and you steady chit-chatting. You need to be quiet for a while and soak up the game, and I'm not really talking to you. I'm talking to the fellas out there a little bit smarter who don't make dumb decisions like this. This chick, the moment you found out that she had another kid, you sort of be like, oh, hell no, this chick is too much of a liar. She's supposed to be mentioned off top she's a mom. She's hiding a kid? That means she's on the prowl to sit up here and trap a nigga, and she found the desperate, dusty one who would. You had no business whatsoever doing something so damn stupid. Once she sat up there and did that, you supposed to be like, oh, no. Your G senses are supposed to come on. Oh, no. Absolutely not. And the problem is you were desperate. A woman getting pregnant is an advantage to a woman. That's not no advantage to you unless you're thirsty and desperate and trying to handcuff a chick, which is what you were trying to do. You were trying to handcuff a boy.
You got me.
That was you.
You got me.
Let me see if I can handcuff her. And let me see if I can hold. When a nigga ain't got his life together and nothing straight, he sits up here and starts resorting to hoe tactics. Hoes go off and get pregnant to trap somebody. A man is never supposed to do that. So you did that in order to keep other men off of her. Because at least as long as she's pregnant, that's supposed to be some signifier on her that she's taken. And you found out the hard damn way. You didn't take nothing. You got took. And now she's got a fellow who is. She's got a fellow who is.
Wasn't fair because I ain't had nobody in there at that time.
Okay, folks. If I tell you don't talk over me, I mean don't talk over me. So he's on vacation. This is the problem. You got these mama's boys raised by these hood rat hoes. They sit up here and talk, run off at the damn mouth. His life is a damn train wreck, and he won't shut the hell up. He wants to tell us what he knows. Another know-it-all nigga sitting up here. He's losing back to back and won't keep his mouth shut and wants to tell us what he knows. He's sitting up here trying to handcuff some college chick. And the thing I was going to get to, which is what broke his little soul. By the way, dude, there was nothing that you wanted from her little single mom ass that you couldn't have gotten without marrying her. You don't have to marry her. In the chat room, you correct. $26,000 a year till the kids are grown. And he won't shut up. Well, let me tell you what it really is. Let me explain to you what it really goes. We can see what's going on, dumb nigga. We all see what it is. Well, let me No, you're trying that hoe tactic where you're going to try to reframe it. Ain't no reframing this. We see what the hell it is. He was young. He was dusty. He was bummy. He grabbed somebody's single mom and said, let me trap that. All them other kids at the college, all them other girls in the college dorm he could have gotten. But he didn't qualify for any of them. No, you don't. You don't qualify for any of those females. You qualify for the one that trapped your ass. That's the one you qualify for. A strong foe with a kid in tow, sitting there lying and playing games, and he's sitting up here, got her pregnant first, and then found out what she was second. He got her pregnant first, and then figured out if she was wife material second. Well, let me go ahead and handcuff her. Okay. This fella sat up here and grabbed the first damn piece of low-hanging fruit that he could. 'Cause he wasn't straight. And the shame of it is there was nothing he got from her that he couldn't get from her without marrying her. She was a single mom, dude. Wasn't nobody sitting up here trying to take her off the market except your Mr. Magoo looking ass. She wasn't going nowhere. She wasn't going nowhere. Is his big dumb Patrick from SpongeBob SquarePants dumbass thinking that he's got to sit here and be desperate to get that dude? She's in Savannah, Georgia, single mom, bummy to the first. She lost out the damn gate. She didn't get out into life good before she struck out. She's gonna be a lifelong loser. And then your dumbass came along and said, well, let me go ahead and give her the layup. She was on her way to losing all the way, and then your dumbass came here and gave her a supplemental package. Now she's sitting up here taking your damn child support money while she's laying up with other niggas. No, he ain't gonna like that when she taking your damn child support money and laying up with other niggas. By the way, let me go ahead, since that dumbass wants to act like he know everything, in the chat room. To the fellas. Oh, we gonna get grimy with it. We gonna get grimy with it. To the fellas in the chat room, I got a question to ask you. If you done laid up with a single mom and you had her spending the baby daddy child support money on you, give me a hands up emoji. Double points if you give me the double hands up emoji. If you a fella, you was laying up with a single mom and she was spending the child support money on you. She was spending her baby daddy child support money on you. Give me a hands up emoji. If you done lived that life, we ain't gonna judge you. We ain't gonna judge you. But if you been there and you done that, if you had to ride the rails that way, go ahead and let me know. Oh, hell, I'm seeing hands up in there. See, old boy, I didn't know fat meat was greasy, but by the way, yeah, dude, the fella might be in the chat room right now. The fella your child support money is going to might be in the chat room right now while you won't shut the hell up. Boy, it's more hands in here than a coliseum. It's more hands in here than a coliseum. Did I see a couple of females? Ladies, listen, let's not do that. I thought I saw a couple of females with their hands up. Are you receiving or are you giving? I ain't gonna judge you either. I'm just curious. I said men, but I got a couple of females. Like, show me too. Okay. All right. No, he don't want to hear it. He don't want to believe it. He wants to act like he knows everything. It's like, dude, it'll be the dumbest fool in the damn world who won't shut the hell up. Ain't that something to be the dumbest fella who won't be quiet? Because he know it all. Sitting up here watching his life take back-to-back L's and he won't shut up. Oh, you see what it is. No, that ain't what it really is. And you sitting up here financing you sit up here talking about she ain't laying up with you. We all know what is happening. She laying up with somebody now, ain't she? Do you all think she's sitting at home alone? Hell no, she's laying up with somebody, ain't she? That's the part that's driving you nuts, because you know she ain't sitting celibate. You know full damn well she was freaky as hell. She didn't become a single mom because she's a nun. You know she laying up with somebody. Okay, but it's just not you. So you paying, but you know she laying up with somebody. It's like, yeah, okay. while he's sitting up here and keeping his damn claptrap going. Let me go ahead and get the Zoom up and going here. Frank, you on deck.
Hey, hi, Jason. Once again, thank you for the broadcast. So I have at least 2 questions for you tonight. The first question relates to something that you've said before, that most men in history did not pass down their genes, obviously because they were not producers. Do you think realistically that is something that will change ever in the future?
No, that will never change. Because by definition, excellence is rare.
Okay. And
the minority are never excellent, and excellence is a moving target. That's the other thing. Yesterday's excellent is not today's excellent. Case in point, the real thing is when your dad and my dad were coming up, a fella could, average was a relative term, but a fella could drive, his Oldsmobile and be straight. A fella could do that. That's not the way it is now, man. What qualifies as excellent and what they consider, what we measure as excellent today, this ain't it. Now the bar has been raised. So what was considered to be excelling for our fathers, working at the GM plant or whatever, that's not enough anymore, man. Buying a house back then was $50,000. Today it's $350,000. So the bar has been raised. Also, by the same token here, let's be very, very clear. What qualified as a, quote, nice car for your granddad and your dad, that's not a nice car no more. And don't get me wrong, I done drove them all. 6.9 Impala, 7.9 Thunderbird, 8.4 Regal, Monte Carlo. Don't get me started. Olds Cutlass. You don't want me talking about that cut dog? But let me just be very, very clear. I've owned them all. I've driven them all. You can't compare that. You can't compare it to that G-Wagon. You can't compare it to that I'll bring it even down. You can't compare that to an Escalade, a Navigator, a BMW X7. You can't compare those two cars. There's no comparison. So what did qualify as excellence before, that doesn't qualify anymore, man. For various reasons, but these are reasons that are not going to change. It's not going to change. So here we are.
Yeah, and considering that most men really would not be able to achieve that level of excellence, that also means most men would not be able to find their ideal female partner. So, and the women too, because of that, would only have a small number of choices in terms of men of excellence. So do you think then that because of that, we should kind of get comfortable with I call it a concubine society, like where
we're already there. Go back and go check my program about the concubine, Generation Concubine. I already did that program, so go back and look through my archive here. I did a program called Generation Concubine. We're already there, man. We're already there. So what you have really are the smart females who go ahead. If the problem is you have a problem of planning. You have young women today. It used to be when there were fathers regularly in the home, a father would take a look at his daughter and he would make a decision. He would take a look at his daughter and say, okay, let me be honest with myself about what she can expect to get in the sexual marketplace. Now, if your daughter looked cute and you were like, okay, because for those of you, like I said, I'm not a father, but I am an uncle. And I know what it's like when you got dudes looking your damn nieces up and down. I know what it's like. And it's like, oh, wait a minute, let me get this breaker bar out the back of my truck. So I know what it's like being in that situation. So if you have a daughter who's attracting attention, you know what you got. So it's like, okay, she can leverage that. If you got a daughter who ain't really getting attention like that, if you got a daughter that she ain't moving no weight, She's got to have a lot of struggle. You're going to tell her, you ain't really got looks to leverage. We better get you a degree. You better go to college. Matter of fact, you better learn about getting a mortgage too. Yeah, we can get you to college. Let's get you to learn about a mortgage. Matter of fact, let me put you on my credit card as an authorized user so we can get your credit started. Because, yeah, you going to have to pull this on your own. It's not going to be a bunch of men swooping in to get you, except that dumbass who just got off the phone with me. Now he will. But as far as the men who you got that Instagram lifestyle you dreaming of, yeah, they going to fall back. So you know if you got a daughter who can pull a man of resources. You also know if you got a daughter who can't pull nothing. You know that. You know if she is the best you can do. Or you know if she's already doing the best she can do. So it's not going to be a real lot of guesswork to it. If your daughter can do that, she will. Problem, all of them want it. All of them want it. But only a few of them are actually going to get it. So back when you used to have fathers to be honest with them, they could start in the game early. She came out of high school acknowledging, this is where I fall in the pecking order. Serena Williams, she always knew, I ain't really no fly chick like that. Her body is outrageous, but the femininity quotient is highly lacking. But she knew that. She knew what her shortcomings were. Oprah Winfrey, she knew what her shortcomings were. Maya Angelou, she knew what her shortcomings were. When people are honest with them, they can start making decisions early. Those long-term decisions can be made early. But when you lie to women, when you lie to them early, and you tell them that they qualify for a caliber of man that they do not, they were raised with a father, he might have been doing okay. Yeah, but you're a single mom. You're a disciplinary problem. You're hard-headed. You're on antidepressants. You're bipolar. You're a damn problem. You're going to be marrying a man. You're not going to be marrying your father. Your daddy got to love you because he helped give birth to you. Us out here in the real world, we ain't got to take your crap. And if your father isn't being objective and saying, my daughter is a hard-headed ass disciplinary problem, we got to make some moves in the interim. If you don't do that, then your daughter ends up being among the 80% of females. And of the 80% of females trying to get that top 20% of men, the reality is that only the top 20% of females qualify for the top 20% of men. The others, and I'm going to say something tonight that's the women are not going to like. Ladies, you need to accept a simple reality here. Of the 100% of you, 80% of you are trying to get your hands on that top 10% of men. Problem, only 20% of the females overall qualify. That means the other 80%, including that 20% that isn't trying to get to the top 20% of men, 10% of men, you don't qualify. So what that means is that as men use the other 80% of females as their stopgap, their leverage, and their insurance policy to negotiate against the other that top 20% of women. Men's willingness, if a man's finances and whatnot qualify him to get a chick who's a 10, if the 10s are not cooperating or if the 10s are not acquiescing, he can use that, though, to go pull a 6. And that 6 will hold him over, or at least gives him leverage. He doesn't have to give in to the demands of the 10 because he's willing to entertain the company of an 8 or even a 6. He's willing to, because men don't have a type, we have a range. Now, women have a type. They have a specific type of man they're looking for. A very small niche. Women have a type. Men have a range. And men, just letting you know, ladies, the top 20% of men utilize the 80% of women as leverage against the top 20% of women so that the top 20% of women don't ever have the ability to call hands. He's always got options. Now, women do the same damn thing, except it penalizes them when they try it. Because they're wasting time. Men aren't really wasting time. We're spending time, but we're not wasting it. A woman is wasting it because every day that goes by, her ability to get that top 20% man diminishes. So that's going to be a problem. In the chat room, the Claire Huxtable program, we'll have to see about that because that'll have to be redone. YouTube dinged that one so badly. That'll have to be redone. But that's basically what they're looking there. So there's never been enough to go around. It just used to be that fathers were like, look, I'm not going to be here forever. I need to park you with a man who's going to take care of you physically. And the demands were much smaller. We didn't have planes, trains, and automobiles. So the demands were much smaller. Today, the demands are much bigger. The demands are much higher. And all the women are looking for this small sliver of guys. And the guys are strategic. We are strategic. So the bottom line is I'm telling you right now, we're already in generation concubine. We're already there. Take a look at the chicks who got double-digit body counts coming out of high school. Chicks who are 24 years old and done slept with 30-something with dozens of dudes. Not double-digit, but dozens. What does that tell you? And then when you go take a look at the fellas who, are most in demand in that regard, as it were, you take a look at them who are most in demand in that regard, even clowns like Derek Jackson. You take a look at them. If those he was a square in school. Once he had the ability to get this damn con job he's pulling, once he got women to sit up here and respond to him, that nigga went crazy. He went stir crazy. Couldn't help it. So what I'm saying is that when they have the when men have the option and the ability to do it, they go for that. And he didn't just get one or two. He was this nigga was trying to sleep with half of Atlanta. This dude was trying to touch half of Atlanta. So what I'm saying is that's the environment the women are in. It's not advantageous. It isn't. If you're a hard-headed, difficult woman, that's why I say, ladies, grab your chips and leave the casino. If you have a man who is a producer, what you're looking for is ambition. You're looking for focus, ambition, and drive. And if he's got those three, that's where you pitch camp. And you feed your workhorse and support your workhorse, and he's going to get you there. But coming back to the casino and saying, okay, I got a good workhorse, but I want to reserve my right to be an intolerable hoe or an intolerable witch, and there'll be somebody else who'll tolerate me because I'm trying to be exploitive and abusive. That's where it comes off the rails. So, brother, no. We're already in generation concubine. The females didn't really get the memo. By the time they accept the memo, it's too damn late. We're already there. We're already knee deep off. And hell, we're actually second generation into it. The women don't have any negotiating power anymore. They think or should I say, for the most of them, they've adopted practices that rob them of their negotiating power. It's a young woman. The stuff that they really want is a young woman's game. And even for the older ones, if they did have the option, they fumble the ball and mess it up so badly it doesn't work for them. You can't be an old woman who's a disciplinary problem. You can't be an old woman who's overly demanding. You can't be an old woman trying to talk about what you ain't gonna put up with. And then gonna have a man out there provide you with an above average life. You're delusional.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why so many of these females are getting older. They're on antidepressants. They're on drugs. They're in therapy. They can't keep a job. They're in debt up to their ears. Your lack of stability is going to cost you. So no, brother, we're already there. It's already like that. The only thing I advise is for the men is survival. What does that mean? You got to have your act all the way together. You can't have holes in your game. The fellas who have their act together are going to do the best. Now, I didn't say they're going to have everything they want, but you ain't going to be some clown in Savannah, Georgia, sitting up here getting single moms pregnant, and then spending the rest of your damn life sitting up here talking about, well, it's only $26,000 a year. Man, do you know what the hell you can do with $26,000 a year? Over the course of 10 years, that's $260,000. I want y'all to remember that. Over the course of 10 years, that's $250,000 over the course of 10 years. For anybody who didn't do the math. That's well over $250,000, but you get the idea. So the fellas who play the game right, keep your value high, keep your competence high, excel. you will give yourself the most options. And by the way, if anybody wants to know where I come down on it, at the very least, as a man, you need to be somebody who appeals to more than one female. The woman you're with cannot be your only option. Cannot. You know the only reason that your woman agreed to be with you? Because she thinks, even if she's wrong, she thinks you're not her only option. As a man, especially if your value is high or elevated, you need to make sure that it's clear you've got other options. And you need to make sure you have them. If for nothing more than as an insurance policy against any chicanery that does or could happen in the future.
Well, Jason, that was a lot of information for me to go through when I go back to the program. But I want to thank you once again for doing the most and, using your time to educate the rest of us, even those of us who are not a FBA. And I'm sure you know this, but I just want to mention that what you're talking about is really global in the sense that I have female relatives, women in the family who are like 30 years old, someone in their 40s, and they're just single. And I wouldn't say they have a bad attitude, but for some reason they're just unable to find, someone. And
dude, we got chicks from Kenya on OnlyFans.
Yeah.
You got chicks from Kenya on Snapchat. Dude, everybody's trying to get in the game. Them internet cafes and stuff like that in Nigeria. All the chicks from around the world, everybody's trying to get on. This idea about the Russian mail order brides and stuff. Look, man, everybody's trying to get on. The only males, if you're a male anywhere on earth and you're telling yourself that the chick you talking to is not about that, you're deceiving yourself. Everybody, all the females everywhere are trying to get on. Instagram, you know why we know that hypergamy is global? Because Instagram is global. They all have the ability to see a bunch of stuff that is way beyond their pay grade.
Yeah.
Way beyond their pay grade, but they can see it. The problem is that they can see it. And since they can see it, that's it. Females are very imaginative. They're very emotional and very imaginative. So if they can see it, then she's like, hey, where's my equity in the game? So it doesn't matter where you are. But just for the record, man, Kenya is a hotbed of it. I put up an article here last year about that. Dude, this is everywhere. It's everywhere. So every man on earth needs to be aware of what I'm saying here. If you're not dealing with it now, you will be.
Yeah. Well, Jason, that's all I have for you tonight. Once again, thank you for taking out the time to take the phone call. And I hope that you live long so you can keep doing this for as long as possible.
Well, just pick it up and live it for yourselves here, man. Like I say, I've got my equity out of the game. I'm just passing on to you all what I wished I'd have known at the time and whatnot when I was in my early 20s. There's no reason for you to have to do it like that, but I've taken a look at my peers and other men who are the same age as me or older, and most of them agree I played the cards correctly. If you want to know how I played them correctly, I'm just telling you why it works, because you can see it works. What I'm explaining to you is why it works. And then go ahead and go from there, man. I'm not like the females. When the females have shoes they like, they don't tell anybody where they got it. They don't tell them how they got it. They don't tell them about their dresses and stuff. So I'm just here to let you know what's going on. So thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight, Frank. Definitely, like I say, you want to be on top of that. You want to be on top of that. That's an important thing for you to have. That's an important thing for you to have. We're going to go ahead and go back to the telephone lines here. Let me get caller from area code 561. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, this is Chance. I am calling from I don't even know what place this is. This is
when he figures out where he's Chance calling us from the Twilight Zone. When he figures out where he is and when he stops tripping on them mollies, we'll take his call. Caller from area code 202. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello, Mr. Black. My name is Sebastian. I am calling from Los Angeles, California. I've called previously about a slightly related topic. I looked at soaked up some of the information that's on your videos, and I wanted to pose a question for you. I'm turning 43 in July. I have no children, but I'm creatively inclined, and I moved here after making a decision that the situation that I was in just wasn't tenable any longer.
So you moved,
and decided that I couldn't be in
So
there.
you moved to Los Angeles.
Yes, sir.
Now, why on earth would somebody move to Los Angeles at this time in history?
Yes.
With the economics of it? What in the hell was going on where you were at that Los Angeles was a better option?
Yes. Good question. I'm trained as an illustrator, and the industries that I wanted to be into, the vast majority of them are in the California area as well as Los Angeles in particular.
Okay, well,
and I thought
that does make some sense. That does make some sense then for a specific niche market. Now, whether or not it pays enough for it to be worth your while and whatnot may be a different matter. But as far as that niche market, okay, I understand.
So at 43, I'm essentially starting over, and my question would be, would it be too late for me at this juncture?
Okay, do you have any kids?
No, sir.
Okay, well, you don't have that hanging off of you. Here's the real problem in today's world. The irresponsible people have all the kids, and the responsible people don't. So there's the irresponsible are flooding the zone with the fruits of their, deficiency. So, but hopefully we can do something to level that out at some point. However, all things being equal, my first question for you, brother, is what's the plan?
The plan was that businesses are about relationships, and since most creative people tend to be shut-ins, I thought that if I move myself and be in the middle of an industry, whereas everyone's doing the easiest thing, which is sending emails and sending resumes, that I could go to events, talk to people that are in that industry, and be able to make headway that way. Currently,
okay, but that doesn't tell me what your goal is. Where are we going? We came to Los Angeles for a reason, so where are we going with this?
Yes, to be a 2D game artist.
Okay, you want to be an artist for two-dimensional games?
Correct.
Okay, do you want to work for somebody else, or you want to have your own company?
In the beginning, someone else. Later on, for myself.
Well, you're certainly going to need to get into the industry first to see if that's even feasible. Because I've got questions about whether or not that's feasible. I mean, if you're not a programmer or anything like that, and if you're not, like I said, because most people today are trying to start their own companies. That's the real thing about it. They're trying to start their own company. They're trying to start their own concerns. So if you don't have that going on, that's going to be an issue there. I mean, if you're not starting your own company, then what are we doing?
Gotcha. I thought by me coming here, I would be going to where, in theory, the work is.
Okay, well, yeah, you are where the work is, but is it giving you enough for this type of investment that you're trying to do?
I don't know yet. Currently, I'm in day 2. I've just arrived.
Okay, you're going to need time to investigate this further. It's a good thing you're in Los Angeles, I suppose. I wish you could have done that remotely. It's a good thing you're in Los Angeles, I guess, but you are going to need more time to devote to this to find out if this is really something that you can really make a go of, because there's too many variables that are missing here. This is very speculative what you're doing. What you're doing is very speculative. And until you get that resolved, you're flying blind. You don't know what the investment is. You don't have any networks. You don't have anything. So you're a good 6 months. What I would tell you is network your ass off with a bunch of other folk who are young in this and doing that. That's what I would tell you to do, because that's going to be the only cheat code you have.
Network.
Yes, you're going to need to network your ass off, because you don't have any,
folks.
If you don't have any money, you're going to have to do that. So, like I say, that's going to be the number one thing you're going to need. But right now, you don't have enough information. So, and if you can't get enough folk to network with you like that, that's going to be bad enough as it is. So I recommend you do that instead.
Understood.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Now, Xavier, I have told it to turn your camera on twice, and you have turned your camera off twice. So what I am going to tell you is you're going to want to turn it on, either that, or if you do not want to be on camera, I might allow that. But if you're going on Zoom, that's to be on camera. And by the way, BB, if you show up again and disappear, you will be removed. Caller from area code 352. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello, my name is Dee, and I'm calling from Tampa.
Dee from Tampa. And what's on your mind?
Yes. Okay, I have a question about just retirement, or like you were talking about, climbing out of some of this debt. I'm an educator. So
Strike
I went with
one.
my heart instead of... Yeah, I know. I know, right? It's terrible. But more recently, now I'm just doing it online, but I've been thinking about going back to the classroom. And in light of, more recent events, I decided that that's not the best course of action for me. I definitely don't want to be inside the classroom. Before it was just, where you just had to worry about an unmotivated student, and now you have to worry about protecting yourself and other people from, but that's beside the point. So I have reached out to other members of my family to tell me about, investment. I've done some research on my own, but I didn't want to make the wrong decision. And I've been recently reading about, more people in the financial market, and they were saying before the push was getting a 401k or 403b, and I've done that, but I heard that that's not the best way to, that's not my best avenue to financial freedom. So recently I was hearing about like a life insurance policy, and that would be the best way. And I don't know, like, I don't want to be in debt.
How
and that's
old
what
are
I've been
you?
I'm 39.
Okay, they start talking and talking and talking. She's 39 years old.
I'm sorry. I'm nervous.
39 years
I'm very nervous.
old.
I'm
She
sorry.
lives in Tampa. Do you have any children?
No children.
Okay, I was about to give you strike two. Problem, you're 39.
I know.
Problem, you're 39. Strike two. Okay, she's 39 years old. Strike one. She's a teacher in Florida. That's really strike 2 and 3. But I'll go ahead and leave that at just one more strike instead of just striking you out. Here's the real issue. What does your man think of all this?
I am single.
Strike 3 and 4. So just game is over. So she's out. By the way, we can make this.
Oh no.
We can make this worse, ma'am. I'm not trying to make it worse on you here, but by the way, the number one reason that women die broke is their lack of a man. Ma'am, how tall are we?
I am 5'8.5", 5'9".
And how much do we weigh?
175.
See a problem? Now, here's my thing about that. She's laughing, but by the way, I don't know.
No, it's nervous.
I don't know how, because I'm like, you're 39 years old, baby. Look here. I did a film. I'm going to remind you all here. I did a film years ago called Gentrified. Only one of its kind. To this day, it is still the only one of its kind. It was a documentary, and the reason why I did that was because I saw how this generation, in particular property values, are whooping their asses. And up until the last 20 years, there were only two places that were cliches: New York and Los Angeles. When you talked about out of control housing prices, out of control rent, there were only two places: New York and California. 20 years later, the rest of the country is caught up. Not only has it caught up, in some places it's kind of past them. The state of Florida is becoming the first gentrified state. California would be, it would be the second one at this point, because California is well on its way. And you all don't want to know what's happening out there. Now, for those of you who are not familiar, if you go take a look at this map of Florida, you got the side that's on the Gulf, you got the side that's on the Atlantic. And up until now, everybody's been flooding the Atlantic side. So starting up there, coming down from the Georgia state line, Jacksonville, Daytona, Tampa, going down Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, Miami, the Keys. Now it's swinging on around to the Gulf side. So now Clearwater and Fort Myers and all that stuff down there, now their rates are spiking over there. Some of the most expensive in the state now. Yeah, a bunch of people all have the same idea. Ooh, Atlantic is crowded. Let's all flood over to the Gulf side. And you're in Tampa. And I was just looking at a story the other day that was talking about how high that the costs in Tampa are going now.
They're ridiculous.
Yeah, well, I mean, all the folks who, if they didn't want to be in Orlando or whatever the case may be, there they are.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying here is you're in a bunch of folks whose Tampa was kind of the hood, and then Tom Brady showed up. But boy, y'all thought that was going to be a great thing too. Tom Brady showed up. Now you're a Super Bowl championship town. So what does that tell you?
I need to leave Florida?
I'm not here to make that decision for you.
No, I don't know.
I'm not here to make that decision for you. Yeah. But what I am here to tell you is I want those of you in Florida to understand. If you are a woman in Florida talking about picking up that weight by yourself, you dumb as hell. When you go down there to Miami, and I've been several times, baby, it's a bunch of Latinas down there trying to get mobbed up. None of them are down there trying to get single. Anybody who's seen it, Biscayne Bay, Ocean Boulevard, it's a bunch of chicks out there on yachts. The Miami River, all through Brickell, they're trying to get mobbed up. They're trying to get sponsored. They're not trying to get single. Your competition is like, oh hell no, I'm not even thinking about trying to shoulder Miami on my own. Oh, hell no. Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach. Baby, your competition ain't trying to figure out how to carry Florida on their backs by themselves. Right. Y'all are the only dumbasses trying to figure out how to do this on your own. Because that's all you've been asking. What can I do? She didn't say anything about a man. Ma'am, the number one reason that you're in trouble right now is because you're 40 years old. You've gone the two most valuable decades of your life, and you've been trying to swing it by yourself. You haven't paid attention to anything I said during this program. The reason you're in trouble is not because, listen to me, you're not in trouble because you chose the wrong degree, ma'am. You're not in trouble because you're in Tampa. You're in trouble because you're alone. I can pick you up and pluck you out of Tampa and drop you off anywhere else you would like. You think it's better 6 hours up the road in Atlanta? You think it's better up there? You better go ask somebody in Atlanta what's going on. Hey, why don't you go march your ass up to the Carolinas? Yikes! Myrtle Beach, Charlotte. You don't want to hear this.
Yeah. No. I have family in both.
Quiet.
And you're right.
All them damn New Yorkers, the New York metropolitan area has got, a population like 20 million people, like flushing a toilet. It has flooded a bunch of them south now. Now, the usual resting ground for them was to just leapfrog all the way from New York down to Florida. That's what they used to do. But now they filled up Florida. They can't afford it anymore. Now they're all filling up Georgia. And the folks who can't afford Georgia now are filling up the Carolinas. It's like a Kool-Aid pitcher. It's like a Kool-Aid jug. And it's only getting more expensive. It doesn't matter where you go. Unless you're going to go to the deep south, in which case, there goes your income. I should know. I'm from Louisiana. So Florida's a great place if your money's already straight. So is Atlanta. But then again, any place is great when your money's already straight. So what when you talk about leave the state of Atlanta, leave the state of Florida, and where were you thinking of going, I'm wondering?
Maybe like I know the property value, you get more bang for your buck in the Atlanta area where I have family, so I would have like more of a support system. I'm okay with living in Florida. I just didn't want to call with the approaching with the date angle because I already knew I was over. I was just listening to you and you were saying they're over 30 and I know I'm over 30. So I didn't even want to go with that angle and be like, you're too old to find somebody. So I just wanted to say, like,
okay, but
how
understand something here. What you're doing is daydreaming, baby. The women in Atlanta struggling are the single women. Why do you think they're all trying to get a man? Why do you think they all piled up on Derek Jackson? Why don't you all catch? What I'm trying to say, ma'am, is catch a damn clue. You're not listening to what I'm saying. Catch a clue. Because I didn't even ask you the most important questions yet. You're obviously not a homeowner.
No.
There goes that. Okay, ma'am, yes. Just yes or no's. Yes or no's. Not monologues. No. Yes or no's. You're not a homeowner.
No.
You're not married. How long you been a teacher?
About going on 16 years.
16 years. Great. How much do you have in your retirement? In Florida, by the way, which has some janky rules for that. How much you got in your retirement after 16 years of working? Since she was 23 years old. How much you got since you started working at 23?
That's a good question.
It's not a good question. It's an important question. How much do you have?
I honestly have no idea.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not.
I want you to look it up right now.
Oh my goodness, that would take a while.
Now that's not a good thing. How much are you?
I know.
How much are you putting into your 401k every month?
So just about. I started 2 years ago, and I do 200.
What was that? Excuse me?
So it's 200. I'm sorry. I do 100 per pay period.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My earphones, I think, are a little bit broken. Did I?
Oh,
I'm almost certain
goodness.
I didn't hear that. I'm almost certain I didn't hear that. Did I hear you just say you just started 2 years ago?
Yes.
Yeah, these earphones are broken. They're still broken. I thought I heard you just say yes. You just started 2 years ago, and you're 39.
With my 401k, but
oh boy! Unfortunately,
my profession,
for you, my earphones
3%.
are not broken. Unfortunately for you, my earphones are working perfectly fine. Oh boy, 37 years old, and she can't even tell us what she already had in there. So just stop it with my previous employer. You don't even know what you had, but you do know.
I said my employer contributes 3%, and then I just started doing extra with the 401k.
Okay, but you said that
403B is what it's called.
Okay, but you're putting in $200 a month, ma'am.
2 to 3, yes. Additional, yes.
Yes, ma'am. And how much dollar amount is your employer putting in?
I don't know. It's 3% of the salary. I'm writing this down so that I can do
How much do you make a year now?
60,000.
So he's putting in $600 a month. If we're counting gross,
okay.
If we're counting gross, he's putting in $600 a month. Well, that's 1%. He's putting in $1,800 a month. If he's putting in 3%, he's putting in $1,800 a month. Did you get that?
Yes, I'm writing it down.
Okay. He's putting in $1,800 a month. And if that's from your gross, though, he's putting in $1,800 a month. You're putting in another 300, you said? 200 or 300?
One, yes.
Okay. Let's just say she's putting in $200 a month. So that's $2,000 a month. Here's the problem. For the 401k, I believe the maximum you can contribute is $19,000. So if you're only putting in a couple of $100s a month, I'm sorry. They're correct about that. I'm messing that up. I'm messing that up. I'm messing that up. No, that's $1,800. That's $1,800. This is not great.
No, not at all.
No, that's going to be closer to a year. I'm messing up, y'all. Let me correct that. I'm messing up there. They're correct. I'm over here multitasking. You all are correct about that. So right now, you're not putting in nearly enough.
Okay.
Not even nearly enough. Think about that for a few moments.
Oh, I have. Yeah.
Between you and the employer, and she started at 37. She doesn't even have an idea of what was happening before 37. She has no clue what it was. I asked her to go look. She doesn't even know where to start, which means that she doesn't even know where her money is.
I do, but I didn't want you to.
Ma'am, you couldn't even put your hands on your own. This is your okay, ma'am. This is supposed to be your retirement money. Stop talking. You're sitting up here talking because this is hurting you badly. They start blabbering when they don't like what they're hearing. Ma'am, you're supposed to know how to get your hands on your money, whether it's your bank account or your retirement account. And you're telling me that right now you don't even know how to go get to it right now so you can go check it and see. I want you to think about that for a few moments. While she's sitting around there diddy-bopping in Tampa, been there for how long you been living in Tampa? For the whole 16 years?
No. I lived right outside of Tampa for a while, for like 10 years, and then I moved to Tampa.
Okay. So you've been living here through all the good years and whatnot, and at no time did she say, I need to partner up with my priority needs to be partnering up with a man. She told herself, my job will invest in me.
No, I didn't want to bring all this debt into and then have.
Okay, ma'am, your actions have said.
I know. I just didn't want to.
I'm going to do this myself.
All of my debt.
Okay.
And I was.
How? And you think there's going to be? You think it's a better offer now? At 39, you think?
No.
Do you think the offer is better now?
I was just trying to pay off I was just trying to pay off my student loans so I wouldn't come in being a burden to someone and having them stressed out. Because I accumulated all that debt myself and I didn't think it was fair. But listening to you now, I'm like, maybe people wouldn't have been adverse to, helping. I don't know. Like, I just never wanted to burden someone with my problems.
Well, like I say, ma'am, the real thing is making sure that to not being a problem is making sure that you are not waiting until you're beyond hope. And what you've done is you've waited until you're 39. You heard all this when you were in your 20s. Let's be very, very honest here about something. On a scale of 1 to 10, even numbers only, what would the men of Florida rate you at?
Oh, I'm not sure what they would rate me at. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, well, slow down. Slow down. Okay, stop. That's not funny.
It's not funny. I think it's more nerves.
Ma'am,
I'm not laughing because I think it's funny.
What I'm saying is that's not funny because you're drowning because you don't have a partner and you're leveraged to get one, and you're saying, "Ooh, I don't know what they would think," which means you know exactly what they would think.
I mean,
okay,
I don't have a problem dating.
Which means, ma'am, if you don't, when females know that they don't have a leg to stand on, they just resort to the same old cliches. I can date. Men notice me. I have no problem going out. Who's the man investing in you, ma'am? Yeah, we know you got we know you have sexual access. Lizzo got sexual access.
No.
Who's the man Who's the man offering to do something for you?
There was I mean, we're not talking anymore.
Yeah, did she
but
just say there was? Yeah, there was. Yeah, we're not talking anymore, ma'am. There just went the last train leaving. I don't know which part of this you're not trying to accept because it's too devastating. It doesn't matter where you go. If you are trying to swing the 21st century by yourself, you're dead meat.
Okay.
You're dead meat.
Right.
At this point right now, you're contributing basically nothing to your retirement. You're contributing basically nothing, and you're almost 40. How many
how much should I?
How many more years were you planning on working?
I guess like 20, 25.
You were trying to ask me here, how much should you have? Take a look on your screen here in just a moment, and you will see the chart that I made for everybody here. And you should be aware of this because it depends on what you want to do. Now, let me ask you one question right now. Making $60,000 a year, how are you doing financially in Tampa?
Poorly.
Okay, so in other words, even if I could guarantee you that you could make $60,000 a year for the rest of your life without working, you're telling me that still would not be enough for Tampa?
Oh, it would. Like, I'm able to save.
How much do you have in the bank in savings now?
$15,000. And I just started, like I said, I just started saving 2 years ago. So not even 2 years ago. Like maybe a little bit over a year ago.
What do you drive?
And I was already able to. I'm sorry?
What do you drive?
Simple car. I have a Honda.
Yeah, it's very interesting. When women have to buy their own vehicles, it's very modest. When they want the man to pay for it, it's got to be extravagant. Anyway, ma'am, take a look on your take a look on your screen. Now, let's just say that your target income for retirement is $50,000 a year. If you were getting 5% interest to not deplete your principal, you would need to have $1 million in your account to give you 5% interest. At the rate you're going, how long will it be before you have $1 million?
Oh my gosh. Forever. Like I will never.
Well, you got about 20 more good decent years, because you really only have about a decade more of good working years. And after that, it gets progressively worse. Your eyesight starts shifting after 40. As a woman, your joints start giving out after 45. It gets ugly from here. Now, let's just say that you want to make $100,000 a year. And by the way, living in Tampa, that's not unreasonable. Well, you would need to have somewhere around $2 million at 5% interest. Now, I was kind here because, by the way, as we've all seen, the stock market's going through a lot of damn fluctuations now, isn't it? So your 401k is experiencing a lot of turbulence, as they say in the airline industry. So in the event that there's a crash of some kind, and we all realize that's been happening, let's just say that your target income is $100,000 a year, but with a 50% market drop somewhere in there, because we all know that happened in 2000, it happened in 2008, it happened in 2020. So roughly every 8 to 10 years now, the market is being vaporized. And your retirement savings go along with it. So if you want to have a contingency against that tendency of the market to evaporate, you're going to need somewhere at least between $2.5 to $4 million at 5% interest to protect yourself from that. And right now, she doesn't even know what she has, which means I'm pretty sure it's a good guess that, like most black females by the age of 40, she has less than $50,000 in her retirement account. She doesn't have 10% of what she really needs. And she's been working for 20 years and does not even have 10% of what she needs yet. And at the rate that she is, quote, saving, not going to get there.
So what would be your advice? What are some investments that I can do, or like what should I be doing with the money instead of just letting it sit in a savings account? How can I invest that to make that money
Ma'am,
me.
you can invest in a personal trainer and a treadmill and a makeover. That's what you can invest in. You can invest in a Planet Fitness membership.
Oh my gosh. So at 5'9", how much should I weigh? Should I weigh 120?
No, at 5'9", it depends.
You did not put that.
At 5'9", it's going
to. I do not even look like that.
Ma'am, here's the real thing. You have to compare yourself to the men that you want. And what do those men have options? What does he want ideally? And are you it? Or how close to it are you competitive for it? If you are not, it's going to be a long, ugly ass ride through your 40s and 50s and 60s. It's going to be long and ugly.
So don't invest, but find someone who would invest in me. Is that what you're saying?
That's what you're supposed to have been doing for the last 20 years. There are literally no fees.
Yeah, no, I
okay,
didn't.
ma'am,
That's why I called you.
you're talking too much. Way too much. Another thing you need to invest in is the art of listening and just silence. Men don't like a female who chit-chats. Ideally, what a man is looking for is a female who is 22 years old with the maturity of a 30-year-old. We tend to end up with females who are 40 years old with the maturity of a 16-year-old. When you were 16, you could be all gabby and mouthy. At 40, you're supposed to be just soaking up everything like a sponge because you need to show that man you're his best option. And being a chatterbox is not his best option. All that tells a man is she doesn't listen. Why would a man invest in a female who will not listen? And you're not showing that that's a core skill, that you know how to listen. So it would be impossible for a man to partner with you, much less invest in you, because you want to talk. And I'm just saying, by the way, this is not a minor thing. Oh, I'm just nervous. No, this is the way you live. You see, that's why you're a teacher. Just like teachers and attorneys and PhDs and professors, you're used to running your own thing and running your mouth as you choose to. Yeah, but that's a major turnoff for men. Now, we'll lay up with you, but we're not going to invest in you. See, when you start saying, all right, now let's talk the investment, we're like, oh no, you're too much of a damn problem. Well, I got the right to talk, and he's got the right to leave. It's not just annoying. It's unladylike. No man of any resources is going to invest in a female whose mouth keeps running. You're not demonstrating that you're listening, because we know there's no way in the hell you could be talking at the same time I am and listening. Which means you've already got something in your mind that you're thinking of right now that's dominating your psyche. Instead of you doing the most important thing you could be doing, listening. If you knew how to get out of this, you wouldn't be in it. You are in Florida. There is a code in Florida. There's a law in Florida about the way females are supposed to look. You're supposed to be beach body ready if you have any intention of not struggling. And you know that you are off code and breaking the law. And you know it. And you've been hiding in that classroom all this time. And now you're 40 years old after 2 decades of hiding in those classrooms. Now you're trying to sneak your way back out into the world and say, what else can I do? Ma'am, listen to me in no uncertain terms. You're 40 years old. I don't give a damn what the school told you. You're 40 years old. You make $60,000 a year. You're trying to play a young woman's game. You're trying to make up on the last stretch for what you didn't do for the last 20 years. Do you have options to increase your income? Well, certainly, yes, you would, though it would probably require it was going to require a career change. And you'll need to invest about 10 years in something else. So you can look at nursing, you can look at IT if you wish to do something like that. Yeah, but you're still going to have to devote 5 or 10 years to something else before it actually starts giving you any returns. By then you'll be 45 or 50, depending on what it is. Now that's where you really are. I don't give a damn what anybody else tells you. That's where you really are. Now, the good news is you don't have any children, but that's also the bad news. That means that no man has actually wanted to start a family with you. I didn't want to start no family with them. That's even worse because that means you haven't been desirable to the men that you want to be with or would want to be with. You spent your whole life living just to work and then to die. But you didn't give a man anything to invest in. That's not good. At 40 years old, and even if you met a man tomorrow, what's he gonna get? A 40-year-old trying to carry his children by the time she's 42? Is that what he was dreaming of? With you being completely oblivious to that. You're 40 years old. Answer me one question. How much full-time, full-speed working life do you want to contribute at this point? You've already been working for at least the last 20 years. How much more foot to the floor, full speed, full strength working do you want to have to do? How many more years are you ready to put in?
I'm okay with working another, like 15, 20 years, whatever the average is. I've been trying to, I'll be quiet because you say I talk too much.
She's willing to put in another 15, 20 years. So she wants to be done with this by the time she's 60.
Or 65, yeah.
Okay. And what do you envision yourself doing for the next 20 years?
Okay, so recently I've been trying to jumpstart my side business. So hopefully, that will take off, but I'm not delusional. So I try to.
What's your credit score?
Approach, so. Right now I'm at, let me see, I checked it the other day. It was like at 775, somewhere in there, yeah.
She has a 775 credit score and has $15,000 in the bank.
Yeah.
She makes $60,000 a year. She's not going to be able to borrow anything. She is by herself and on her own. She doesn't even have a man to partner with or to take the financial burden off of her while she pursues said side business. And by the way, every female today says she has a side business. Once I tell them, let me see some receipts, all of a sudden it's a work. It's a work in progress. If it's a business that doesn't generate money, it's not a business. And I should know.
I have generated some money on my business.
Oh, good. How much? In the last 12 months.
Okay, it's kind of a crab. So in the last 12 months, let's say four of those, I was actually working on my side business, and in those 4 months, it was $4,000.
We don't plan to fail. We only fail to plan. And what I'm going to tell you here is, like I said, no matter what you do at this point right now, if your goal is, well, Jason, tell me how I can pull this by myself. Well, what you would do is you would change careers. You can do that. It's going to require money. If you go into nursing or anything else, you're going to have to go back and retool. Since the teaching thing didn't give you what you were expecting, if you're going to try to do this without a man, you're going to have to go back to school and retool.
Okay.
So certainly you could do that. Mathematically speaking, we're probably looking at retiring somewhere around 70. Not 65, somewhere around 70.
Okay. Well, you're definitely giving me some things
to all the young females out there, hard-headed has a price. Are you sure? Are you certain that you are just so far gone and so unwilling to change the things that would really matter that you're really going to focus on this instead?
No, I would definitely be open to change. Yeah.
Okay. Well, consider it networking. Your time would be, and your efforts would be much better spent networking for a man.
All right, I'll do that.
Well, I'd like to hear back from you in 6 months.
Well, thank you for listening, and you enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you for giving us a call here tonight. Tampa, Florida, middle age. Hey, Jason, can I dig myself out? Ladies, 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 the rules aren't going to change. It's not going to change. It's not going to change. Needs to be contributing $19,000 a year, putting in $4,000 or $5,000. At that rate, you'll be able to retire by the time you're 160. Caller from area code 786. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from? Caller, last try. You're on live. Okay, they've been abducted. Caller from area code 929. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
What's going on? You can hear me?
What is your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, I'm from New York. I'm calling from New York City, the Bronx. My name is Stepper.
Okay, Stepper from the Bronx. What's on your mind?
I wanted to know, what is your advice for young men, young professional men, who are, including those who are pro-black? What do you think their future looks like for women? Because I know a lot of women are going towards independent, and it's kind of like if you can't take them out on dates and pay for their luxury lifestyle, they don't consider you a valuable option. So what is your take, and what do you think we should head towards when it comes to dating? Do you think we should mind our business and focus on our goals, or continue to vet?
Well, you should be focusing on your goals no matter what, because you don't chase women. What you do is make yourself the best option and they pursue you. So don't focus on chasing women. Focus, if you want that, focus on attracting them, but not chasing them. So first and foremost, however, this kind of getting some questions here. How old are you?
I'm 30.
Okay. And what do you do for a living at 30 in the Bronx?
I'm a consultant at a child welfare agency, and also I do a lot of community work. Like I hope a lot of my friends run charities.
Okay,
as well,
so let me find out here. So you consider yourself to be a young working professional?
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
I say that because I just work.
I say that because I just work, and you can't quantify. You can't quantify that. See, a professional has a career path where their options in income and status continually get better. That's not really where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm saying is, you will get females who they don't qualify for a guy who's elevating. You would get females who would qualify more for a guy where what you see is what you get. So for you, you could get a 4, maybe a 6. And that would be about where she ranks, and you shouldn't have any problem doing that. Now, if you're socially awkward, you can't hold a good conversation, you struggle to speak, that's gonna be the real problem. But there's no reason you can't pull 4s and 6s all day in New York City, assuming you're not a complete goof.
Yeah, no. I consider myself a decent looking guy. I've actually got.
Yeah, but you're not productive enough. So the bottom line is, it's a 3-legged stool. So looks are one thing. There's looks, there's intelligence, there's productivity. So if looks are a tangible, but she can't eat it or drink it, and eventually that wears off. So her survival is based on productivity. So she's looking for a different tangible. And if you haven't shown that you are competitive, even from a social standpoint, if you don't strike her as a competitive male, you've immediately become less attractive.
Yeah.
So
I agree with that.
If you're in the Bronx and whatnot, like I say, you in the Bronx, you ain't talking about being in Brooklyn or Manhattan. So That says, you already know that says, you already know that says something to a female. You already know that. So I'm just explaining to you what you already know. Right now, you're not striking them as very competitive compared to what they see right across the river in Manhattan or Brooklyn. And the bottom line is that's what they really want. Even if they don't qualify for it, that's what they really want. Now, your job is to demonstrate that you are their best option and be as competitive as you can be. You don't have to be doing as much as the guys in Manhattan, but dude, you need to be doing as much as you can. And right now, if you are typical Bronx, yeah, the females are going to be sitting there looking at you saying, yeah, all right, but if I can get something better, I will. And there you are.
Yeah. I believe there's a lot of single women in New York City. I think it's like in an 80% almost.
Yeah, but they're all holding out. They're all holding out for the top 20%. Yeah. Most of them are holding out for the top 20%.
Bad in New York. It's real bad.
Let's find out here. How much do you make a year now?
Make 70.
Okay. There you go. So what I'm saying is you're in an environment where you're going to get a chick who is ready to take a guy who makes 70 G's a year. That's where you're going to be.
Got you.
So right now you can't rely on intangibles. Attractiveness is actually really, when you get down to it, is an intangible because you can't do anything physically with it. Right now you have to show that you are competitive. And what you're doing does not signal competitiveness, at least not to the females you're talking about. Now, to the chicks who might be your clients at this nonprofit, I'm sure you're a catch. But to the up and coming paralegals, lawyers, registered nurses, nurse practitioners, administrators, you tell me. Are they looking for a guy making 70 G's in the Bronx?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so here's the thing. If you want leverage, you have to give the person what they want. Demonstrate to them that you have what they want. And then that is how you demonstrate that you are the best option. And then that gives you the leverage to get what you want. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Don't put the cart before the horse. Stop talking about, well, how can I get them? No, your job is to demonstrate I've already got everything on my side of the table, and then that attracts them. But right now, if a female got with you at 30, she's looking at you at 30 years old, and she's asking herself, how much higher is he gonna go? Because if I get with him, I am committing myself to him in his life.
So you think because like I said, my original question it related back to, I see a lot of women who are craving going on vacations and dates when they're getting to know the men that they're talking to. But when I'm speaking to you, your message is they're trying to look at the potential. I'm studying to go to law school. I'm trying to get into finish college and then go straight to law school with my friends. But are you saying that they're looking at how much I'm making a year?
They're looking for tangibles. Get this through your heads, fellas. Females are looking for tangibles. While you see them make some goofy mistakes in their younger years, the bottom line is when it's time for them to commit, they're looking for a guy who's got the tangibles on deck. She wants to do as little guesswork as she can. The reason that chicks become single moms and then get screwed up and then go scrambling for a producer later is because she realized too late that she needs tangibles. So you need to make sure that the only thing that gives you leverage is having tangibles. Because that is your proof. See, there's a lot of guys who try to convince people that they have intelligence. They try to convince them that they have competence. If you want proof that your intelligence isn't just hype, when you have tangibles to back it up, that's what stops the conversation.
Yeah, got you.
New York is a great place for dudes running their mouths and trying to talk their way through things. But the bottom line is you should really get to the part where you shut down the conversation. How do you shut down the conversation? Lead with your accomplishments. So that when you're talking to her, it's like, okay, he sounds competent. He sounds like he knows what he's doing. Then she's going to take a look at your situation and see if you know what you're doing. You all keep trying to leapfrog that step. But a woman is going to take a look at you from up and down and be like, okay, let me see if he's just another guy out here trying to talk his way up on it, or if he actually knows what he's talking about. But she's going to look for tangibles. If you tell her you know about cryptocurrency and you going somewhere, she's going to want to see proof of that. So yes, what you drive, what you're wearing, where you live, how much you spend on a date, she's going to be looking for something. And if all you are is talk and you've never presented any proof whatsoever that it's real, then guess what? You've given her nothing. There's nothing tangible for her to invest in. So at 30 years old, right now, you need to be focusing on doubling your income. Not simply because you want to double your income, but the landscape is competitive. Otherwise, you leave yourself in a position where a female is going to ask herself, do I want to be with a guy making $70,000 a year before taxes? Because she's going to assume this is the best you can do. You're not going to be able to bull jive and jive talk your way into getting her to think more. She's going to ask herself, is this the best I can do? And understand, no, in that New York area, as tight as it is trying to live on $70,000 a year, which in your case would be closer to $50,000 after taxes, a female's going to have to ask herself if this is the best I can do. It's not up to her to make you her best option. That's up to you to do that. You want to have the ability to pick and choose. A cat making $70,000 a year has to ask himself that.
Yeah, I'm definitely listening, taking notes. Appreciate the game.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Like I say, definitely you want to have yourself together on that, man. Tangibles matter. Caller from area code 718. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Big Zoe, now living in Houston, formerly New York City. What's up, Jason? Long time.
All right, brother. What's on your mind?
Very simple. Everything that you said, nothing's been wrong. The reality is this. As long as brothers take care of their business, they invest in themselves, they don't make stupid mistakes, they have the pick of the litter. Right now, it's a buyer's market if you're a brother that has taken care of itself. As a nurse, moving from New York to now being in Houston, I pretty much have the pick of the litter despite my advanced age. But the thing is, it's all about knowing what you want and being patient and not just running for the first thing that just says hi and that flashes a little skirt and just winks at you and flashes you some teeth.
Well, it's been a while since I heard from you, brother, so I'm glad to see you got things together there and sorted and stuff like that. How are you liking it down there in Texas?
It's cool, and it's at the same time, it's kind of like dry because after being in New York City, Houston is very much a calm, family-oriented town, and it's hard because I'm starting all over again. I'm making even more money than it was before. I just bought a house. I have a new car. I have everything. The only thing I'm looking for is a wife.
Something you can't do in New York, by the way.
Touche. But I miss all my action. I miss knowing where everything's at. I miss my people.
You miss the inflated prices, the outrageous congestion, although in Houston, if you get on 45, you can meet all the congestion that you like there. Like I say, definitely there's very few people trying to move from Houston to New York, a whole lot more trying to move from New York to Houston, and you got options in that regard. But at some point, we got to look long term about that. And New York has its, I guess it does have its advantages in some ways. It's just kind of been outweighed in that regard. However, if you're a man who's productive, you're going to make a crack off wherever you are. Your real job is put yourself in the most advantageous position because, you don't want to be in your 60s still trying to get your finances together. You don't want to be that. You don't want to be that guy. So you got to make those decisions early, and you have to work the plan, and you have to keep at it from an early point there. And then you get the rewards from it. But it's not something you can talk your way up on. It's not something you can talk your way up on. I'll let you have the last word.
Very simple. Invest in yourself, because I started out as a nurse making 65 and now make 140 a year. I also have other investments, other stuff going on. And the thing is, never married, no children, no drama, no issues. And as a result, the sky's the limit in terms of what I can attract and what I can date. Is it easy? No, because now you have to worry about who's really sincerely coming to you because they really want you, or because they want to separate you from everything that you have and you work so hard for. So that's where patience is the key, and also knowing who you are and whatnot. I would recommend for any gentleman to listen to your essay called The Dumb, as well as also the one that you did on dating and talking about what happens when you bring sand to the beach. You need, if you can, bring those back. Those are classics. On that note, be one.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight here. Hadn't heard from Zoe in a minute there, so glad to see things are working out well for him. Let me get caller from area code 803. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
And my name is Irvin, Jason. I'm calling from South Carolina.
Okay, his phone's kind of muddled there. What's your name again?
Irvin.
Okay, it sounds like he's calling through a kazoo.
Hold on. My name is Irvin.
Okay. Your phone sounds like you're calling through a kazoo, so I'm not really sure.
Yes, sir. My name is Irvin.
Irvin, okay. And where are you calling from,
yes,
Irvin?
Sir, Irvin. South Carolina.
Okay, Irvin, from where at in South Carolina?
Lee County, South Carolina.
Okay, I'll try this one more time. Irvin is calling from what city in South Carolina, sir?
Bishopville, South Carolina, which is in Lee County.
All right, Bishopville, South Carolina. What's on your mind?
Jason, I was in a conversation with a gentleman today, and thank you for taking my call. And we were discussing the family bank strategy, which, if you look at it, and if anybody who's familiar with it, you can start your family out without using any banks or any hard money lenders or anything like that, and you can make that transition into your self-sufficiency as far as your finances and your family's generational wealth. And this I don't know whether a lot of people are familiar with it, but there is a system out there that can really help our community. And I just want to pass that on.
Well, certainly that sounds intriguing there. You said you could use your family. How many would it require?
Well, it would require that you can start at, I think it's like 400 to 500 or less.
Let me try this again.
Depending on who's doing it's using life insurance.
Let me try this again. How many people does that require, sir? Because you said you can use your family. How many people does that require?
It could be one. It could be two. It's an individual, or it could be collective.
Okay. I don't think that works with just one person. I don't think that does. I think to have something like that occur, you'd have to have a few people actually to make that worth your while. However, thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Certainly here, like I say, do your homework. We did tonight's program here because we were discussing how it is that women die broke. What is the number one reason for it? We covered those in effect here, and we started with the story of Kayla Nicole, a young woman who started at 25 years old. She got with a dude for whatever her reasons were. She hung in there for half a decade, and somewhere along the line, in half a decade, she fumbled the ball. Somewhere along the line, she fumbled the ball. Either she chose the wrong man from the very beginning. Either she chose a guy who didn't really fool with her for real from the very beginning, or she chose for the wrong reasons and she wound up jumping ship. But the bottom line is, ladies, the quality of the man you choose, the relationships with the man you choose, that's going to determine your future. Not that garbage they told you in college, not that crap you sit around talking about with your mom and your friends. All of y'all are struggling together because very few of you are doing the smart thing. The number one reason you'll die broke is because of the quality of man that you've chosen. Not that the other things I mentioned are not factors, but if you want to know the number one reason, there it is. Show me a woman who is middle-aged and by herself, and I will show you a woman who will be working until she's 70. Let me say that again. Show me a woman who is middle-aged and by herself, and I will show you a woman who will be working until she's 70. And that was never really part of the plan, now was it? I guess it is now. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. If you are new here to the business, welcome to the program that laid the foundation upon which all of your red pill, MGTOW, and all the other imposters and copycats are going to take everything that they heard here tonight and remix it next week. You heard it here first, so click that red subscribe button, click that yellow notification bell, join us each and every time. And if you haven't been to our website, if you haven't gone to our Patreon, the link is in the description. A lot of good things we get to talk about over there, stuff we don't get to talk about here on YouTube, and I get to really say some of the things I want to say. So definitely, if you haven't joined us over there, you can do that as well. I want to thank you all for joining us here tonight on Patreon and on YouTube. And this concludes this broadcast of The Business. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, Mr. Jason Black. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, handle your business or your business will handle you.